WPTF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Ambers. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Yeah! You found the sports bar. Welcome. Come on in. You know, as I like to say, there's all sorts of different bars. And today it's, one of those days where we just kind of have a cold one, playing some darts maybe, kicking back. I don't like the word lounge, but it's a different vibe when Danger isn't here. Hello, it's Battaglia. Our friend, Terrible Take Tim Schneider, the pride of Fairport, joining us today.
That's me.
That's you. Dude, can you do this for our viewers? And again, if you haven't, it's fun to watch if you're hanging out. I know our Greg, like he puts us up on his screen in his garage or his big room there. Tim, for our viewers, please turn around.
Sure.
You're wearing a Jays jersey, and there on the back,
the pride of Rochester.
The number 22, Ernie Clement. That's a Schmeplica jersey, though, is it?
I don't know. I got a good deal from it from Walmart. So
Walmart. Wait. What? Walmart is selling Blue Jays jerseys?
Found it on the internet.
Oh,
gobbled it up.
All right.
But it came from Walmart. It didn't come from any offshore site. It was regular old Walmart.
How much? $90?
$40.
What?
That's why I got it.
What?
Can't beat it.
You're kidding.
$40. And the only weird thing about it is the maple leaf is a little bit more janky than.
Yeah,
but that's the only thing you don't even notice until you point it out.
Yeah, I think you would really have to be a jersey snob in order to figure that out.
For $40 compared to whatever the actual MLB shop would be, $200. I'll take it. I'll take $5.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get to the Bills. Everybody kind of, we'll get there eventually. But, when you're wearing some new gear, I have to ask. But you remember, I remember you and I met when we would do the old trivia nights out at the place in Victor there.
Yep.
And there was somebody who would come in every week with a different NFL jersey. I'm like, wow, this guy, he's really But then I'm like, wait a second. Why would you spend money on an Andre Johnson Texans jersey like that? And I had to ask him, and then he explained to me that there was this website, and they don't know what they're going to. You don't know what you would get, and it would introduce me to this whole world of, I guess you can order things online here and kind of skirt some of the stuff. I've yet to do that. I don't know if you partake in that.
I have a Johnny Manziel that is. Very, very odd color.
Yep.
Certainly not a NFL authentic.
That's where you remember our old friend Master Stroke, right?
Sure do.
Yeah. Real name, Chris Solari, okay? But we know him as Master Stroke for one of the worst takes of all time, and then we just never let it go. We just always goof on the guy. He comes in one day, and he's like, hey, guys, look at the new Josh Allen jersey I got. Like, dude, that's purple. No, it's not. It was a very deep shade of blue kind of going to purple. I'm like, that's not the Buffalo Bills color. And I'm not a jersey snob, but I certainly know what the team colors are.
Jared Allen Vikings with the wrong number on it. Call it Josh Allen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then the funny thing is that Danger gets one Nathan Peterman Bears jersey, but it's the wrong number, but it's still good for a laugh. You're welcome to join us, 866-4FAN, 866-430-26. And then that hat, is that the Buffalo? That's not official.
Yeah, no, it was I think it was the 27 shirts or whatever it's called. They came out with it when the Blue Jays were in Buffalo for a bit. It's the Buffalo Blue Jays hat, obviously not a real thing.
Not a thing. Okay, so they never put that out. I went to a game and they had still have it, a Buffalo Blue Jays T-shirt. Didn't say Buffalo Blue Jays, but it just said Buffalo Jays logo and had a silhouette of the skyline. I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. And I always thought, if the Wings were hooked up with the Jays instead of the Twins at the time, which eventually in the Nationals, we would have had Major League Baseball here.
That would have been cool.
It would have been cool. I think we would have come out much better than Buffalo. I don't think there's any doubt. Went to the one game on the 4th of July, like, there's nobody here. Where is everybody? Granted, it's the Rays, but it's Major League Baseball. I digress. Welcome to the Sports Bar. Battaglia and Schneider today. Fun show we have lined up as we'll be talking in the 4 o'clock hour. I feel like we have to defend our turf because I get these texts from our friend that says the Bills have an easy schedule. Their team is coming for us. Jay Binkley, 96.5, The Fan in Kansas City, as it will be fun to argue with Jay. That'll be in the 4 o'clock hour. Bottom of this hour, we'll talk to our guy, PJ Glasser. He's got a pick tonight for Jays and Mariners. We'll also get his best plays for the weekend. Bills bye weekend, but it doesn't mean you're not watching football, so we'll talk some college football, we'll talk some NFL, and we'll certainly get some plays in Major League Baseball from our buddy PJ Glasser from the BetMGM Network. That is coming up at the bottom of the hour. We will also have tickets today to the Haunted Hayrides of Greater Rochester, which it's not a bad night out there for you, maybe you and a date or you and your buddies, but we'll give you free passes for that, but you would have to call at the appropriate time. We'll let you know. That'll be somewhere between now and 6 o'clock. You're always welcome to join us. The Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line, 866-4FAN. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 Commercial Street, East Rochester, goodsmokebbq.com. At Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, kids 12 and under eat free on Sundays. That's with a purchase with an adult, and that is for dine-in only. Table set, Tim, as it's funny. Like, you wash away the emotion normally after a Bills loss, and everybody takes a deep breath, but this feels different. I am hearing chatter, and I'm not only just from people in our industry, but from fans, from other, that they're already jumping ahead to the end of the story here. It's almost like, hey, after a game like that, we kind of know where this is going, and if the Bills end up losing to the Chiefs, if the Bills don't make the playoffs, maybe it's time for a regime change. I know it's not the popular take in sports talk, but can we give this a half beat?
We could.
Wait, let me put it another way, okay? When we looked at the schedule at the beginning of the year, we looked at that Atlanta game. We knew Atlanta had talent. We knew it was a Monday night game. We knew that beware the home underdog on Monday Night Football. Those things are all true. And many of us said, you know what, I could see that being a loss. So there the Bills go down to Atlanta, and what happens? It ends up being a loss. And yet people are like, how did that happen? Tim, when they're winning, it's almost like we need the Bills to do this with style points. But the opposite of that is when you're losing, hey, did you put out a good effort? And that was a little concerning the way they lost. It's only a 10-point loss. You had the ball in the second half driving. If Thompson makes that interception, okay, that might be a pick six and you're tied in the fourth quarter. There's so many things in NFL games that can swing it one way or another. But yet, really, really, really didn't like the body language of Josh Allen. Really, really, really didn't like how the offense forgot, hey, this is what you're supposed to do against a blitz. Really didn't like the wide receiver play. Really didn't like the tackling. Really didn't like a lot of the package overall. And it's not the first time we've seen a sleepy performance from the Bills. I would point to the Jacksonville game. That's first and foremost, and that was in the Josh Allen era. I think it's the Allen. I think it's the Allen. I look kind of lost. My body language isn't correct. That just felt different. And therefore, and I'm not the only one who's thinking that, because like the vibe after this loss, I'm just shocked. My father texts me, they're not making the playoffs. I'm like, a
little bit of a stretch.
I think they're still making the playoffs. Like, if people start getting hurt, like key players, and I don't want to wish that, but right now, okay, they're not in the driver's seat in terms of the division.
It's week 6, though.
I know. That's it. So, like, okay, so you, Tim, and gosh, we've known each other since the drought, and you every year would, I'm not saying on air, but you would point this out to Bills fans. You point this out to myself and others, like, hey, why is it Bills fans, they have this arc where they get all excited at the beginning of the year, and then the ballroom falls out like they've never seen it before. So, like, during the drought era, that was completely accurate. You're the outside observer. You live in the area. You are not a Bills fan. So your thoughts after a 10-point loss in Atlanta?
I mean, it's just crazy watching it fall out from a fan perspective. I mean, they started 4-0, one unbelievable comeback, and then 3 double-digit wins that people were sour about. And then 2 straight losses in which people are now dreading what could come next. Like 2 weeks ago, we were looking at the schedule and it's like, oh, there might be 1 or 2 losses here. There were 2 in a row, none of which we were expecting, but it's the NFL. Like the division outside of New England, who is now apparently like the team to beat, still not true, Buffalo is. The Dolphins stink. Jets stink. There's nobody in the NFL that's actually legitimately good,
Yes, that's exactly right. And when Binkley comes on in the 4 o'clock hour, he's going to say, fellas, we're getting Rashi Rice back, and it's going to look all good. And they'll beat the Raiders. Yay. That's like the Bills beating the Dolphins, okay? You don't get a cookie for that. You got to move on. Nice win over Detroit. We'll give you that. But how is the loss for Kansas City in Jacksonville different than Buffalo in Atlanta? Can someone explain that to me? Because Kansas City was with great Patrick Mahomes, and that's a pick 6 going the other way to a fat guy. Hey, their defensive lineman, the great Chris Jones. He quit. He quit on the play. Maybe if he decides to actually play that down, maybe your team wins that game. So if Jay comes in and says, we're all above you, I just remind him, hey, the Bills are actually a game ahead of you in the standings.
The answer there is the what have you done lately, and they were able to rebound from that loss and took down a good team. The Bills have to stew on this for 2 weeks and then play the team that beat the pants off of the team that they just played. Carolina beat Atlanta 30-0 3 weeks ago, and that's who they have 2 weeks to prepare for. Carolina isn't good, for the record. The Bills should rebound pretty swiftly, but again, I don't think anybody anticipated a loss to Atlanta. Close game, fine. A loss, I don't know.
Oh, no, I think a lot of people did, Tim. I think a lot of people were rationalizing, hey, if this Bills team is 6-1 heading into the Carolina game, I think we'll be fine. Okay, it's 5-2. It's 5-2. But it really, to me, it's as simple as the body language on Allen and some of the others.
If Josh Allen doesn't have it, the Bills don't have it. That's as far as it goes offensively. Defensively, it's been a nightmare all season. They haven't been able to stop anybody. Atlanta used 2 players in that game, and they combined for like 380 yards.
That was just, isn't that crazy? Like that, it just flies in the face of everybody eats. No, we're going to go back to what works.
Feast.
Yeah, let's feast, and maybe the Bills can learn for something. Hey, James Cook should be your guy.
When His usage has been insane.
Yeah, when Kincaid comes back, you get him in the mix. Shakir on third down, like we forget, he had a really nice, I'm going to get this third down on by myself. That was early in the game. Like there should only be guys like, but the problem here is that there's not much beyond that. Now with Palmer potentially being out, the disappointment, Keon Coleman, last 5 games, 125 yards. 25 yards a game is not going to cut it if you're going to be a number 2 receiver on this team. You drafted him with the hopes of being number 1. And that's where the criticism's coming from. And everything is under question if we get to the – and that's what we do. Like, we're going to project to the end of the story like, oh, my gosh. I did think there was something telling that Matt Perino said yesterday. And anybody wants to join in, our numbers are wide open numbers. Like, there's only one, 866-4FAN, 866-4326. The ways you can join us, the Fan Rochester, you can hit us up on X or Facebook. But as I like to say when Tim's in here, just know that it might wait until the break until I actually see your comments. So the best way is to call. Matt Perino joined us yesterday. And if you had to rank, like, the guys in terms of getting the extensions, okay, right now it's Cook. Cook has been worth the money. Nobody else has at this point. Maybe Shakir. I think Shakir is who you think he is, and I have no problem with Khalil Shakir. But Christian Benford has taken a step back. Greg Rousseau, you're paying him like a number 1 defensive end, and sure, he does some good things against the run. Yes, he had that blocked field goal that was very key in keeping the Bills in that game for a little bit. But you need more. But what Matt Perino said is, of all those extensions, the idea that your defensive captain looks like the worst one. And I'm not Mr. Film guy, Tim. There are a lot of people like Cover One, those sort of guys, Joe Marino. There's plenty of great content on there. But I can't offer you something up. And that's this. That the easy low-hanging fruit thing on the long touchdown run by Bijan Robinson is Cole Bishop taking a bad angle. And then Cole Bishop looking like a JV player tumbling over. That's embarrassing.
He was somebody that was expected to take a leap, and he just hasn't done it.
But what I'm saying, though, is that Cole Bishop's fault? Because watch that back. Look at Terrell Bernard just kind of running into the line of scrimmage, and then the guard just blows him up out of the play. And then all of a sudden, Robinson's 10 yards down the field. That's your job as a middle linebacker. Don't get blocked. You can evade that block. You could at least slow it down to a manageable gain. But once he gets to the outside, okay, then he's one-on-one, and then your safety takes a bad angle, and then it's out the door. So, yes, call Bishop. No. I get that. And if I had to say right now, would I like two different safeties on the Buffalo Bills next year? Yeah, I think it's looking that way. But, oh, my gosh, that's your guy that you're paying the middle linebacker. He's looked like nothing like that. So if we're doing like the blame assessment, Tim?
If you're compensating for somebody else's flaw and then flaw yourself, though, like there has to be accountability on both ends of that.
This is like a whole problem, and that I think that's where this is all kind of pointing to.
Is it a player problem or a coaching technique problem?
No, it's everything. That's what I'm saying. That's why people are kind of down. We love in sports radio or as fans or whatever the medium is, hey, this is how you fix the problem, A, B, C. Whether that's coaching, changing the coordinator, whether that's the next guy up, whether that's hey, let's try again next year and trade everything off. This problem, Tim, and we didn't really spend enough time talking about the downside of this, but when everybody eats turns into everybody got paid. And everybody got paid, and you don't have any room to maneuver. And Danger and I have this debate all the time. Danger's like, hey, this was the year. You go get Micah Parsons. I'm like, that's great in theory, but the salary cap indeed is real. And
not what I heard.
Green Bay was able to do that because they had the money like underneath it. You decide to make these moves to extend these guys, and then next year it's not going to get any better. It's not. I looked up Terrell Bernard. That's $11 million in dead cap. That's the best of it. You're not moving Rousseau next year. You're not moving Benford. Why would you move Shakira Cook? But maybe. We do have another team playing down the road tonight. Funny how, am I at the hate watching portion of Sabres hockey here on October 15th? I like Tim, tonight, here's what I'm watching tonight. Ready? Toronto Blue Jays at Seattle Mariners, Game 3.
Yes.
I'm watching Ernie Clement, the pride of Brighton and Rochester. I'm watching baseball, and I will occasionally look at my phone for the updates and maybe flip over if something's not happening in baseball. But Ottawa comes in. If you haven't been following the Sabres, they've yet to have a lead in any of these games. They got shut out opening night. They got outshot in Boston 16-2 in the first period. Again, Boston, the team that missed the postseason last year. So this isn't the old Bruins or winning Cubs. That's a team that, hey, they're kind of in rebuild too. And then I don't even know what you want to call. You lost to Colorado. Yay. That's not surprising at all. So here comes Ottawa. Yay. This is a team that you should beat. Dan DeLorean's going tonight. I'm like, he's like, oh, we're going to lose. This is, that's always Dan, which is, I always find the psychology of the displaced sports fan. It's one thing, right? And my cousin married a guy who grew up in Dallas, and he's a Cowboy fan. So he's like the rare exception up here. Like, no, he's from there. I think he's entitled to follow his team, right?
Sure.
But if you're displaced by choice, I'm always kind of curious. You kind of,
If you're born into it.
you're born into it. That's one thing, but the choice thing, and choosing Ottawa is all teams.
I do wonder. I am curious on what that reason was. Just knowing like how old he is. Who was it? Was it Hasek? Hasek would have been after
No, he explained it to me once, and it didn't register with me.
Alexei Yashin.
Probably Mr. Turtleneck.
Or if it was an expansion team actually. So maybe
It's like
you're
I'm
jumping
ready.
in first.
Yeah, like one of our advertisers, Debbie Supply, his son, Dave's son, like he's a Panther fan. Why? We're just new. I like the colors. You're like, that's acceptable. If you're young, I'm gonna pick a team. I guess that's kind of it.
Part of me wants to jump on. They're not even an expansion team, but the Sabres have done so little for me that I just want to jump in the Utah Mammoth.
Oh, I thought
Sign
you
me
were
up. Or the Kraken. Anything.
I thought you were gonna say that the Sabres are so bad they might as well be an expansion team, and I'm gonna just kind of.
It would actually be better for them to be an expansion team. It is easier to have success as an expansion team than it is whatever the Sabres position is in right now.
Well, I just would point this out. Like, if it's another game where they lose and they don't have a lead and they're getting booed off the ice, and really, what's the attendance going to be tonight? I would put the over-under on a Wednesday night against Ottawa at 7,000, which...
That's so embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. Right. I don't know what they announce, but I think that's going to be a storyline. But if the Sabres don't get this, hey, guess who comes in next? And if you're a Sabre fan, like, I don't know, I don't really paying attention, no problem, I'll tell you. It's the two-time defending champion Florida Panthers. So in a world where we get to Friday evening and the Sabres are 0-5, they can say, hey, it's early or whatever, but I would say, no, this is kind of the same storyline. Isn't that a great promo I just kind of read for you? Tune in tonight to Buffalo Sabres hockey.
But listen anyway.
You're on the Fan Rochester. PJ Glasser, your host of Send It In on the BetMGM Network. We'll talk football next hour with Jay Binkley. You are welcome to join us at 866-4FAN, 866-4326, here on the Fan Rochester.
Rochester Sports Update.
Buffalo Sabres look for win number 1 on the season. The Sabres have yet to lead in any of their 3 losses. Ottawa is the opponent tonight. Zach Benson, the Sabres, still remaining positive.
Yeah, no, I'm itching to get out there. I'm pretty fired up to get going. I think, the energy around the room, I think we're all excited to get going, fired up to kind of get off this losing skid and, get some good vibes going around this barn.
Coverage begins at 7 tonight here on the Fan Rochester. The Amerks back in action at Utica on Friday. RIT hockey, the Brick City homecoming game at the Blue Cross coming up on Saturday. Clarkson will be the opponent. It's Game 3 of the ALCS tonight. Shane Bieber going for Toronto against George Kirby of Seattle. The NLCS resuming tomorrow night. Dodgers are up 2-0. G. Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, the Fan Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, the Fan, Rochester.
Always love catching up with PJ Glasser, where Baltimore's not really a hockey town. PJ, I remember the Skipjacks, but things are kind of down and out here. Like, we'll get to college football. We will get to, certainly the NFL. But is there anything to be said for playing wagers in hockey here, the Sabres tonight? You were mentioning this as a pick'em, and I would ask you the question, why?
I was going to throw it right back at you, Gene. What are we missing? Is Ryan Miller back in goal? So, no, the only thing I know about the Sabres is Kyle Oposo still playing for the team?
Oh, no.
I remember him.
Oh, wow. That is a pull. No, he's retired now. Maybe that's what they need. Yeah, Oposo. Wow.
Poso. Need him back in a while.
Oh, gosh, that'll be coming back in March. I'm going to have to danger with that when he comes back. PJ, before we get to college football, and our guy Tim in studio here today, he's got his Ernie Clement jersey. Clement's from Rochester, so we're kind of sort of, I guess, on the Jays bandwagon if we don't have a team. I was surprised at Seattle. I thought they would have been on fumes, but baseball can be funny like that. They dropped the hammer on the Jays, so heading back to Seattle, what is the play tonight here?
Oh, I love the Jays. I think Tim's boys are going to get dubbed tonight. Gene, we saw this in the NBA playoffs this past year, right? I mean, you think about when Cleveland was playing Indiana and the Pacers went into Cleveland, won the first 2 games of the series. You think about the Knicks and the Celtics when the Knicks went into Boston, won the first 2 games. I mean, you see this a bunch, when these teams start on the road, they win the first 2 games, they're up 2-0 in the series, they go back home, everybody thinks it's over, and I bet, it surprised a lot of people just how much that team that lost the first 2 at home goes on the road and wins that Game 3, especially a team like Seattle, Gene, and a Mariners franchise that has never been to a World Series. Do we really think they're going to make it easy on themselves? Do we really think they're just going to sweep Toronto? I think a lot of people like Toronto at the beginning of this series. They probably should have won Game 1. And then, Savage just didn't get off to a good start. They tied the game, and then the bullpen came back in for the Blue Jays, and the Mariners bats got going. But I think the Blue Jays find a way to win tonight. And then Game 4 tomorrow, I think, is really where the series begins. That'll be a fun game. But I like Toronto tonight at plus money. Everybody's just kind of writing them off. I think they win tonight.
Yeah, Scherzer going Game 4, which, okay, I'm fascinated. He didn't really show me that much this year. But if it's one game and this may be it on his career in terms of a big moment, I cannot wait for that as well. PJ, I want to get your thoughts on the NLCS because I hear what you're saying on Toronto. To me, it feels different with the Dodgers. I mean, Milwaukee had their chances, in both games, particularly if Bryce Terang just hangs in there and takes the hit by pitch. Who knows where that game ends up? But now the series goes back, and now you got to deal with Glasnow and Ohtani perhaps on the mound. I mean, the Dodgers bullpen's been a little sketch, but what does it matter when you're getting great starting pitching like the Dodgers have so far in this series?
Yeah, I mean, that example I was just giving you, Gene, right, in the Phillies series, they won both in Philly, came back for Game 3. They lost at home, but I don't know if that's going to happen, Gene. The Dodgers, I mean, you mentioned it. It's the starting pitching. I mean, it's just so strong. Blake Snell, Game 1, looks absolutely unhittable. Dave Roberts, I thought, should have been fired on the spot if they lost that game in Game 1. how can you possibly – that was the Brewers' only chance, was to go – the Dodgers to go to the bullpen and bring somebody else in other than Snell. He learned from his mistake, kept Yamamoto in to get the complete game. So I think he's probably learned his lesson. But, Gene, the starting pitching it's ridiculous, as you highlighted. I mean, Yamamoto and Snell. Now you get Ohtani and Glasnow. It's tough for me to see this series going back to Milwaukee. You would think the Dodgers are going to win at least 2 or 3. So they're stacked, man. I mean, that's what's scary is last year when they won the World Series, it was Yamamoto, and then it was like Jack Flaherty. It was like they didn't really have anything after. Now they have 4 1-caliber pitchers that they can throw out there on any given night. So it's going to be a tough uphill climb for Milwaukee. Maybe they win a game in LA, Gene. I don't think they win 2. So yeah, I like the Dodgers to still win that series.
The great PJ Glass, your host, has Send It In on the BetMGM network. Let's look at some of the college football. Great weekend, but really it's not a great weekend because it's the SEC, right? Some of these matchups, and here you have an undefeated Ole Miss team going to Georgia, and Georgia 3-1 in conference, and it's basically, I'm looking at a 7-point favorite, Georgia home. That seems a little steep, which would make me say, wait a second, if I'm thinking Ole Miss, does that mean Georgia here? PJ, you're the expert. What do you say on this one?
Yeah, Gene, that's exactly right. You know, people are going to see a top 10 matchup. They're going to see an unbeaten team as a 7-point dog, and they're probably going to lean towards Ole Miss. I do like Georgia in the game. I'd lay 7. I really just think they're a great money line parlay piece too. You know, as a 7-point favorite, you can play them with somebody else on the board. Maybe you can tease one of the NFL sides, or you can play one of the big favorites on the money line too. Whatever you want to do. I do think Georgia wins this game. You know, Ole Miss. The SEC is loaded. They've had about as easy a schedule in SEC play as you probably could want up to this point. You know, they played Kentucky. They played Arkansas. They did have the win against LSU, but, you know, they struggled against Washington State last week. The defense lost a lot of pieces, Gene, from last year's team. They led the nation in sacks. They really haven't faced too many quality offenses. And watching what Gunnar Stockton and Georgia did against Tennessee earlier this season, I think they're going to be able to have similar success against Ole Miss. So, you know, I know Bama went to Athens and beat Georgia, but they're the only team that's done that in the last 34 tries. So that is a tough, tough place to win. And I think that line being at 7 there is tell you a lot. So I do like Georgia.
Yeah, in prime time, too. You got another matchup, Auburn-Mizzou, and I'm not going to ding Missouri for losing to Bama last week. Is this the bounce back here for the Tigers? They're a small favorite in this one, PJ. How do you view it?
Gene, I think this is the most fascinating game of the weekend. It's maybe one of the most fascinating games of the year in college football, especially from a betting standpoint, because Missouri is playing their first road game of the season on Saturday. So I've had this game circled for a while, right? We're getting into week 8 of college football, and Mizzou hasn't gone on the road yet. Like, that is normally auto play, fade that team, especially going into an environment as difficult as Jordan-Hare. But, Gene, I don't know if you got a chance or any of the listeners got a chance to watch that Georgia-Auburn game from Saturday. And that game just felt like it was an absolute kill shot to Auburn's season. They were up 10-0 in that game early. They were controlling everything. They were moving the ball offensively. The defense was playing great. They had 1st and goal at the 1. They go to QB sneak, and it looked like the quarterback reached it across before Georgia forced a fumble. They ruled it a fumble on the field, and they decided to stick with the call. So instead of going up 17-0, it's 10-0. Georgia outscored them 20-0 right after that, and it just felt like one of those plays that took the life out of Auburn for maybe their season. And if we're learning anything from Penn State, Gene, you can have talent, but when you just suffer a loss that is so excruciating like Penn State did to Oregon, it can completely unravel your season. And I worry and I fear that for Auburn, that loss was such a big blow. I don't know if they're going to be able to recover. So as much as I wanted to fade Missouri this week, I think the number one thing when it comes to betting especially, you always got to look at effort and which teams are just not going to be in it. I really question that with Auburn, so I do like Missouri this week.
College football is fun when we get a matchup where USC and Notre Dame are both ranked, and At 5-1, PJ, you tell me, is USC actually good? I mean, yes, they beat Michigan, but I don't know, they're good. And Notre Dame, I mean, all right, the Irish started 0-2, and they were still ranked, and here they've rattled off 4, but have they played anybody? I don't even know which way you would lean on this. I'm looking at the Irish favored by 9.5 at home for the evening game here. It's going to be a good game. What do you see in this matchup?
I'm taking the team total over for Notre Dame, Gene, over 35.5 points, because I think this game goes one of two ways. I think Notre Dame either smokes them and they win by 3 touchdowns, like a 45-24 type game, or I think Notre Dame loses outright and they lose a similar game to what they did versus A&M, which was like a 41-40 type game. But the similar theme is that I think Notre Dame gets their points. You know, USC, DeAnton Lynn took over as defensive coordinator last year, replacing Alex Grinch, who was just an absolute nightmare for Lincoln Riley defenses for like a number of years. And Lynn did an unbelievable job. And people thought going into year 2, they would really take some more strides and become a really good defense. That just hasn't been the case, and they've really struggled. Notre Dame's offense is terrific. It might be the best in the country. So USC, especially when they're on the road, they've really had a tough time stopping people. I think Notre Dame gets to 40. Now, USC also could get to 40, Gene, because the Irish don't have a good defense, and maybe they win a shootout like that A&M game. But instead of betting the side, I'm just going to bet the Notre Dame team total over, because I feel good that they're going to get into the 40s in that game.
PJ, we got another ranked matchup this week. Tennessee, Alabama. You were a Bama grad. I look at Tennessee and I'm like, well, they're a lot of fun. They put up all these points. They can't stop anybody. So for my viewing pleasure, this should be a lot of fun. Is 8.5 points, though, for Alabama too much? How do you view this? Is there another play in this matchup?
It is too much, Gene. And you think about, so this is going to be the 4th straight ranked matchup that they've played in a row, right? So, I mean, they are going through the gauntlet here in SEC play. And you think about all the games that they've played against top-tier teams. Florida State, they lost. Georgia, they won by 3. Missouri, they won by 3. And Vandy, that game was a little misleading. They won by 16. They really should have won by 9. Vandy had a couple of red zone turnovers. So, I mean, Bama's the overwhelming favorite to win the SEC, Gene. They have the second shortest odds to win the national championship. Their offense is good enough to win the title. And I think they have the best quarterback in the country in Ty Simpson. He's terrific. But I still have major questions about this defense. And ever since Heupel's been at Tennessee, his offenses have really given Bama some issue. Aguilar and this offense put up 40 points on Georgia. So I think Tennessee is going to be able to hang with them, Gene. I do think 8.5 is too many. I think Bama wins. But again, man, DeBoer, he wins these kind of games, but they're never blowouts. They're always 1 possession, 3-point, 7-point type games. I'll take Tennessee plus the points.
PJ Glasser, our guest, is where we are going to take a look at some of the matchups here. Now, no Bills football, but in fact, there's a lot of other football. Only the Bills and Ravens, like our team and your team, PJ, on the bye this week. This Thursday night matchup, Steelers at Cincinnati. The way I view this one, PJ, this has the markings of, boy, this is going to be one of those sleepy Thursday night football. Is anybody any good? Hey, teams can't prepare on a short week. I don't know. Just I've watched enough Steeler football to have this kind of vibe. Not sure what Cincinnati's all about. And if I'm just getting this vibe, Pittsburgh at 5.5, I would think is too much. But you're the expert. What do you see in this one on Thursday night football?
Gene, I actually really like the Bengals this week.
Ooh.
It's one of my favorite bets of the week. I like them plus the points, and I would take money line as well. I think the Bengals are going to win the game. To me, there's just too much value on the money line price and also the side, right? So with this kind of game, the way that I like looking at sides in the NFL sometimes is to flip the number, right? So Pittsburgh was just a 6-point favorite against Cleveland, literally on Sunday at home. And here they are, a 5.5-point favorite on the road against Cincinnati, which means that you give the Bengals about 1 point, 1.5 points for home field, right? So let's say on a neutral, Pittsburgh is 6.5, 7 point. And then if the game were in Pittsburgh, that would make them about an 8-point favorite. So this line is telling you that the Browns are 2 points better than the Bengals. That really doesn't make any sense, especially on a short week, and especially when we know Tomlin is much better as a dog than he is as a favorite. Also, Gene, a sneaky part of this handicap, right? Keep in mind, Flacco, before he got traded from Cleveland to Cincy, had some time to watch some film on the Steelers, right? He's flying back from London on Sunday, early Monday. So he's already kind of prepped for the Steelers defense a little bit. Always a big talking point with these short weeks where it's not the full week of prep. You got to speed up everything. But Flacco's already kind of watched the Steelers defense a little bit. So he's going to be more caught up to speed than maybe some other teams would be, or quarterbacks on a short week. I think there's a lot of things going for the Bengals in this game. And I think that line's too high, and I think that money line price is too good not to take it, Gene. So I think this is going to be one of the upsets of the week. I like the Bengals.
PJ, like when we're talking about NFL matchups, and I'm going to ask you this question, we'll preview Kansas City hosting Vegas, and I think most people would say, hey, Kansas City's the better team. They're getting their act together. But from a betting standpoint, like how much value do you put into recent history? Like the Raiders, you could say, well, recent history, well, it's a new head coach, it's a new quarterback, there's a lot of newness, but I look at the recent games at Arrowhead, and in 22, the Chiefs win by 1. Okay, that's not a cover. In 23, the Christmas Day game, people might remember that. Chiefs turn it over. The Raiders win this game outright. Last year, the Raiders botch the end of that game, and they don't win, but the Chiefs don't cover. So last 3 times, it's been the Raiders against the spread in Kansas City. And I'm looking at the spread, I'm like, wow, 12 points. That seems like too much based on history. But again, my question is, do we count any of that? How do you view this matchup, Raiders going into Arrowhead?
I think you absolutely have to, Gene, right? It'd be no different than if the Bills are going into Arrowhead in the postseason, right? I mean, they obviously know, like, that weighs on them. It's been a place they've struggled to win. Just like when the Raiders go to Arrowhead in the regular season, they know that's a place where they have hung with the Chiefs. So not only that, but, Gene, I've been circling this spot for a while because, I mean, think about the Chiefs' schedule up to this point, right? And all the games that they have played. They've played 3 primetime games. They had the game on Sunday against the Lions. They had the game on Sunday against the Giants, and then the Monday night game against Jacksonville. Then they had the Week 1 game against the Chargers International, the Super Bowl rematch against the Eagles, and then the 1 and 2 game against the Ravens when both those teams really needed a win. So, like, where's been the game for Kansas City where they can just coast, right? Where's been their Bills-Saints game? Like, where's been their double-digit game when they're just at home? They know they're going to win. It's just by a question of as much. It's this game. This is the game, right? And off of 2 straight primetime matchups, you're not going to get Kansas City's max effort. They just want to get out of this game healthy. They want to get out of there with the win. They don't care by how much. This is the perfect team to fade in these kind of spots, Gene, because we know the Chiefs have been the king of winning and not covering. This is one of those games. I know the Raiders have been terrible. I know Geno's been terrible, but this is a fade of Kansas City. I don't think you're going to get their best effort. I don't think they're going to look sharp. I think the Raiders keep it within the number, Gene, so I like Vegas plus the points.
I love when we're thinking along the same lines. PJ Glass, your host, and for folks who don't know, PJ will say these are the games we want to talk about. I don't know which way you're going unless I cheat and I tune in, which, PJ, I do sometimes. Monday, 2 games. I love this. Some people don't. I do, particularly when we get matchups like this. Buccaneers-Lions, from a fantasy standpoint, I'm going to guess that a lot of people are going to be invested in this one. Hold on. You mean to tell me Tampa Bay's getting 5.5 and what we should figure is a firework game over under at 52.5? That's a lot of points, BJ. Is this the game where things start to catch up to the Buccaneers? How do you view this matchup?
It is, Gene. I like the Lions. I'd lay the points. Stat of the week for you, Dan Campbell and the Lions in their last 11 games off a straight-up loss are 11-0 against the spread. So if there's ever a team in the NFL you want to back off of a loss, it is the Detroit Lions. They tend to always play well in these type of games. Gene, how about this stat for you as well? Tampa's 5-1 on the season. Do you know that game on Sunday against San Francisco was the first game that they have ended with a kneel down? I mean, so this team is due for some regression, right? Baker's been playing out of his mind. They've had all these injuries. They've been finding ways to win games. And then, Gene, from a matchup standpoint, right, we know the Lions and how beat up their secondary is. I mean, how about the Tampa Bay wide receiver room? They're going to have 4th, 5th, 6th-string wideouts out there. So they can't really exploit that secondary like KC was able to. I think there's so many things going for Detroit in this game. I really like them. Lay the points, -4.5.
So the second game, Texans in Seattle. Here's what I know about the Texans. They have a good defense. Seattle, they have a good defense. Oh, okay. When you have two teams that, all right, that's the strength, and the over-under is kind of showing you this. It's the third lowest over-under at 41, and Houston getting the 3 points, which tells me, all right, flip a coin here. So, PJ, honestly, I don't have a feeling on this. What is your thought on this will be the 10 o'clock Eastern game coming up Monday night?
Like Houston, Gene, plus the points, very similar to what we saw this past Monday with Washington and Chicago, right? Washington was coming back from a West Coast trip against the Chargers with an outright win. Here's Seattle coming back across the country from Jacksonville with an outright win. And the Commanders played a team in Chicago off a bye week who went into the bye week playing well. Chicago had won 2 straight. Texans coming into the bye, had playing well, 1-2 straight. Now they go on the road. And like you said, 2 good defenses, low-scoring game. You're giving me the hook. I'll take it with Houston. And, Gene, I feel like every time I come on here, we talk about Seattle. I say it every time. Seahawks are on the road. I'm almost always going to bet them. Seahawks at home, I'm almost always going to fade them. So I do like Houston this week. When we get teams that are playing well off of a bye and they go on the road, I'll usually back them, especially when they're underdogs. So I like Houston plus the points.
You know, we started this conversation off talking about hockey, and I don't know if you saw whose birthday this is today. So the first black player in the NHL, Willie, I forget his name. He's 90 today. Do you remember his name, PJ? Willie O'Ree.
Willie Reed, I did not know that. Who did he play for? Blackhawks?
Oh gosh, like he was. Let's see, he played for the Bruins. So Willie O'Ree, 90 years old today. There you go. There's your fun fact.
Shout out to him. Happy birthday. Good luck to your Sabres tonight, Gino. I think, they're a pick'em against Ottawa. I think tonight's the night they get off the schneid and win a game.
I think you're wrong on that. But I appreciate the good vibes. BJ, tell everybody about Send It In and where they can catch more of your content.
Yeah, Gene, send it in weekdays, Monday through Friday, 1 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 30-minute show, no commercial breaks, and it's interactive. So people that want to watch the show, listen to the show, you can chime in on our Twitch channel, YouTube, our Twitter live stream at the BetMGM Network. And we encourage interaction, people commenting, any questions, any bets that they have. And, again, what a great time of year, October. Every sport is in full swing. We got NHL, NBA, baseball, football. We got it all. So, send it in. Check it out, 1 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday.
PJ, should Bills fans be worried?
Yeah, they should, Gene, but who in the AFC scares you beside the Chiefs? That's what I keep coming back to.
Yeah, and even the Chiefs, they've got and as you said, they had a gauntlet of a schedule. I don't know, it just seems like the season is so gosh darn long, and
it is.
Yeah, I'm not ready to say that the Colts are good. I mean, they're off to a good start, or the Jaguars, or any of these teams. But, PJ, I kept you too long. I could continue to talk football with you all day. PJ, thanks so much for your time. We will do this again next Wednesday.
Look forward to it, Gene. Have a good one.
Thanks. PJ Glasser, host of Send It In. I put him on the spot on Willie O'Ree. Did you know it was his birthday today?
I did not know it was his birthday, but I did know he played for the Bruins.
That I didn't know. I drew a blank there. So, that who he played for. He was in town. Really wish the Amerks brought him in once, and I totally missed that opportunity. We will take more of your calls. We will talk some sports. And you know what, Tim? Because we're so gracious here. That's the wrong word. We've got tickets here. We're grateful that you were listening. So let's return the favor here. We got 2 tickets to the Haunted Hayrides of Greater Rochester. These tickets will be emailed to you. The Haunted Hayrides of Greater Rochester now through the 26th. So, again, fun night out, and the weather has been great. Caller number 5 right now gets a pair of tickets at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326. Good luck here from the Fan Rochester.
The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Buffalo Sabres looking for win number 1 on the season. Maybe it's tonight, 7 o'clock. Ottawa, the opponent. Sabres have yet to lead in any of their 3 games. As for the Bills, are on the bye week. Chris Brown, voice of the Buffalo Bills, on his wish.
I just want to see this team have more of a sense of urgency, energy, and juice at the beginning of games. I don't know what it is, but like the last 3 weeks, they've been really flat at the start of games. You know, you can't just play this game with a physical want to. There has to be an emotional content to your play as well.
Brownie today on One Bills Live. Game 3 of the ALCS is tonight in Seattle, where the Mariners up 2-0. Shane Bieber going for Toronto. George Kirby for the Mariners. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
We are now under 3 weeks from the NFL trade deadline, but with the Bills being off this week, seems like everything is kind of getting sped up. And it is the time of year where, all right, what could the Bills use? Took a call off the air from Joe, said, what about Jacoby Myers? Yes, absolutely. Like anything with a trade, Tim, comes at the okay, what price? And Amari Cooper for a 3rd-round pick last year seemed a little steep, what you got in return. But I would also point out that the Bills were kind of, I wouldn't say in a rut to this extent, but they were coming off back-to-back losses, and you recognize you need help at the wide receiver position, and it gave you kind of that little bit of boost in confidence.
Yeah, if there's something out there that immediately upgrades the depth chart, you can trade a future asset for it and deal with that later, whoever that player ultimately becomes. 3rd-round pick is a pretty steep price for a guy who probably at best is a decent number 2 receiver. But if that's the price that you have to pay to immediately upgrade the roster, that's something that you have to at least consider just based on the situation that they're in right now.
Look, right now, I think you need a receiver. I think you certainly need a corner. I would roll the dice, and I thought I would never say this, but it's time to give Jordan Hancock a look. That's not the part I would never say. The other part being Jordan Poyer. When it seemed like things settled down with Jordan Poyer when he came in there for Cole Bishop for a little bit. Can the Bills swap out their safeties? They don't have another answer right now at corner, and if Maxwell Hairston is weeks away, well, that's something you can't count on. So trade for a corner, switch out the safeties, trade for a linebacker, somebody who can tackle, and get a wide receiver, whether that's Olave, whether that's Jacoby Myers. If we want to have the A.J. Brown discussion, fine. I know that EEI in Boston's going crazy. Well, take a look at his cap number and explain to me how would the Eagles actually move him unless you're taking on some of that. Well, the Bills can't do that. So, like the receiver thing, you're looking for guys on expiring contracts. It's usually the case when it comes to the trade deadline. 866-4FAN, 866-4326. This is actually pretty funny because, Steve, I'm always good for a practical joke, right? And I have to, sometimes people half listening, this isn't real, okay? This is not real, okay? But this was real on October 11th, 2023. So not quite 2 years to the date. But, Tim, listen to this report from October the 11th, 2023. This is a real report, but I'm just got to make sure that everybody knows this was 2 years ago. The Buffalo Bills have signed linebacker A.J. Klein to the 53-man roster, taking the place of linebacker Matt Milano, who is now officially on injured reserve. They also placed defensive tackle Daquan Jones on IR and designated linebacker Balin Specker to return. All that is plausible.
Same as it ever was.
Like, that would be like, okay, if they brought back A.J. Klein, I would just throw my hands up in the air and give up at that point. He's been out of football 2 years. That was, you remember that story? Like,
I
okay,
do, yeah.
Yeah, and then he walked away. I'm like, okay, they let him go after that. And then they brought him back. He's not ready to go on a Disney vacation. Or he actually was on Disney. Like, they called him up. Hey, I know you're ready to, I know you're ready to get on, Tower Terror there. This is Brandon Bean, but, Baylor, we really need you here. Can you come back up? I think that Brandon. How's my Brandon Bean? Is that pretty spot on, or does it need a little work?
Your impressions have always needed some work, but the effort has always been there. The effort's there. The execution might need some more coaching.
Yeah, I'm not gonna dispute that. Tim, there's another story. And you and I like baseball, right? We both do. But the story about Mike Schultz, there's a couple of angles to this. So let's kind of review. Mike Schultz stepping away from the Padres. He's 57, says it's time to retire. Okay.
It's early for baseball management.
Well, it is, but sometimes you get guys that get burned out, and that could have been it, right? But I view the Padres, is this a bad year? Losing to the Cubs? I mean, I think many of us would have said, hey, it's the Padres and not the Cubs, but that's not what happened. And it ends up being his final game that lost to the Cubs at Wrigley.
For what they gave up to get to that point, it was disappointing. I don't know if it was a bad year, but they didn't get to where they wanted to go.
But he puts out a statement, okay, and it's not through the team. It's through the San Diego Union Tribune. Or is it? Yeah, that's it. Union Tribune, right? The local paper. And this was the one I'm like, huh? And I think a lot of people are like, huh? This is the quote. The grind of the baseball season has taken a severe toll on me mentally, physically, and emotionally. Like, okay, that is something worth diving into because at 57, you have a dream job. And maybe you've made all your money, and maybe you've said, who am I to say? But normally when you get quotes like that, that's okay. You don't think like a little bit of an off season might kind of just cure that, or maybe just taking some time off? That's basically, to me, I'm reading that like, okay, I'm done. I've had it with that game. Now, there's two different follow-ups to that story because people start digging. One is that apparently Schultz had some death threats. Okay, this is the one where, and these were from people online and betting, and to the point where, okay, this is real, and I don't know to what extent authorities got involved in. Okay, so that is one side of the story. Here's another side, and this is from the San Diego Union Tribune, also following this up. Nobody in St. Louis dug into why did he walk away from the Cardinals. He just kind of resigned. Oliver Marmol took over. Like, Schultz was like manager of the year with the Cardinals. Why did he walk away? Apparently, there was a mutiny back then. Who knew? Well, we didn't know because you were heading into a pandemic, okay? But in his final year, there were 20 employees that were ready to say we're walking out. Okay, so it's some sort of HR issue. And according to this report in San Diego, there were similar issues of this guy, his anger management and flying off the handle and just being a miserable, miserable guy. I'm just kind of bullet pointing it for you. So, Tim, when I look at this, I don't know what to make of this story, right? If it's taking a toll on you mentally, physically, and emotionally, did it turn you to a grade A-hole, as this one report says? Is it you're worried for your life because there's this other report? Was that put out there to try to get sympathy points? The bottom line is, like, I think when you get to a position of power, you have to be mindful, especially in this day and age, of how you treat people. Sometimes it's okay to get in players' faces. I'm not talking about that, but when I read the report that there were 20 employees from the Cardinals ready to walk out, this is support staff. This is, okay, I'm not working with this guy anymore. It gets so bad. And we all can kind of relate to that. We've all had some guy like that. Don't you dare say that's me, Tim. But, like, I don't know what to make of this story. I think there's a couple angles to this, and I think part of it is, yeah, you're working in. It's out in San Diego. We really didn't kind of get this. I want to learn kind of more. Like, what was the former manager of the year? But my gosh, I guess if you have a grade A personality, type A personality, it doesn't work.
Yeah, if you're sitting, like, if I'm on the surface reading the resignation or retirement or however you want to phrase it, and you read the word emotionally exhausting, like, to me, that means that I sat in my room miserable for a week stewing over a loss that I could have avoided or prevented or won the series in had I done this, that, or the other thing. But if there is a toxic scenario in which you are the poison, is that something that you run away from and try to get away with it? Or is that something that you try to get out in front of? Like, this is perhaps the case. But the amount of success that he's had everywhere he's been, and to call it quits at 57 and then to use those words is very peculiar, especially if what has happened in St. Louis was about to happen again in San Diego and he just walks out.
Yeah, it's again, I think, and I think it's also, in this report where this was, and I wish I could source it here, but Schultz says he began thinking in August about the possibility of retiring. Okay, stop right there. What did Marv Levy always say? Or, Marv is still with us. If you're thinking about retired, then you retire. Okay, so that tells you right there. The now former manager says during the past season he experienced, amongst other things, poor sleep, chest pains, hair loss. Okay,
that's just being an adult male.
That's your 57. And in the age of pervasive sports gambling, even death threats from strangers, he added that the Padres' season-ending loss to the Cubs in the NL Wildcard Series, he wanted to head home for a week to recharge and reflect. Well, look, I mean, if it's causing you that many problems, then leave, man. If that's turning you into that sort of person.
If you age yourself out of your own body at that age, find a different job.
Yeah, like he looks like he's 72. I will follow that up.
And if the behaviors are what they are alleged, it might be best if he's not in that place of power.
8 managerial openings. Like we don't talk about that stuff as much. Like when we get to Black Monday in the NFL, the day after the season. Oh my gosh, all these coaches are fired, and we talk about the openings. And there's, who's the one guy there, McGarry online, like, hey, he does like the running tally of coaches that should be fired next and everything. We have our first firing in the NFL. It was Brian Callahan of the Titans, and now we're wondering, okay, when does McDaniel, Aaron Glenn? It's kind of morose, right? It's kind of. You shouldn't be rooting for somebody else to fail and lose their job. What other industry is that okay to do? We do this in the NFL, but we don't quite do that in baseball. And I think part of it, too, is managers in baseball are not what they used to be. Tim, you were probably at the edge of this, but I grew up, and it's strange to think, where the manager was the star. The manager was Sparky Anderson, Earl Weaver, Billy Martin, managers you came actually to see, and it was so much fun to see him getting in an argument with an ump. Now, it's like Aaron Boone gets told from above, okay, this is the lineup you're going to have tonight, and you kind of manage things in quiet in-house. The manager in baseball, what do you do? Now, the NFL, totally different story where you're managing 53 personalities. You got to answer for questions like, hey, why did your offensive coordinator hand the ball off to Elijah Moore on a 3rd and 1? Didn't you say you would stop being too cute? That sort of stuff can take stress on you. I think that's the reason why, that the NFL, you're just under so much more scrutiny game by game, as opposed to baseball where, yeah, okay, you lost to the White Sox tonight, so what? There's another game tomorrow.
Yeah, there's 32 jobs in the NFL, and 10 of them seem to be open every year come the beginning of January, once that week 17 or week 18 now hits. Like, there is so much turnover, but also not at the same time. Like, if you're safe, you are safe. Andy Reid being Exhibit A, I guess. But there are teams, and it's always the same ones. The Browns on top of that list. They just recycle losers, essentially.
You see, that's the thing. Like, Stefanski should stay, but I have the feeling that, all right, the Browns say they end up with a 5-win season. You're going to blame that on the coach?
That will be where the blame is placed. It's
That should
incorrect.
be.
It's
Like,
a scapegoat. And
that's
it's
silly.
It's a recipe for failure that they eat every single, well, not every single year, but every 3 years. It's a new guy, and there's a reason that they have not made that jump, and it's because they don't give enough time to the guys that they put in charge.
If we're putting this in terms of the Buffalo Bills, I think it's a plateau thing. And if the Bills, dare I say, take a step back this year, Sean McDermott's still a head coach. I know some people don't want to hear that. People will want change, though, nonetheless.
People want to be more successful than they were the previous year, every single year, in every position imaginable. That's fair. But you also have to look at the other lens of it. If they do make a change, it's almost certainly a downgrade, whether you want to acknowledge that or not. McDermott is one of the best coaches in football. Are there things that he has some severe flaws with? Absolutely. But look around the league. You can say that everywhere.
Yeah, like the hallmark of this is, all right, if the Bills did ever go down that path, would Sean McDermott get a head coaching job elsewhere? And the answer is yes. I would say, okay, if not instantly, he would wait for 1 year and get a job of his liking, and he would be great in TV. I just can't get myself to that point. There's so many other teams here in this league that have problems. And again, at the top of the show today, I said this. This happens every year with the Bills. The beginning of this year, we looked at the schedule and we said, hey, that Atlanta game, yeah, that could very well be a loss. And we all nodded. So when it very well was a loss, then why all of a sudden now are we demanding this and that? Like anything in life, it's not just one thing, right? If we made this like a big old pie, right, and we're doing a pie chart, it's injuries. It's guys that aren't performing up to their contracts. It's Joe Brady decisions. It's coaching overall. It's a slight regression from Josh Allen. Yeah, or you could say it's the wide receivers that, like, again, you add it all up, and that's why this is like, ooh, this isn't good. If it were just, hey, go fix corner 2 and get another wide receiver, on you go. On you go. Like, make that move today, and woo, here you go. But Deion Walker's saving this draft class up to this point. It's kind of a bummer. I did like Dorian Strong. I hope he comes back at some point. Neck, who knows? You're not getting any updates on that. Hancock, I want to see out there. I'm at the point where, like, okay, Hancock and Poyer could be any worse. Get the kid out there. At least maybe if he makes mistakes, at least it's the hope that he'll get better. Corner 2, all right, I think you can fix that. The Bills fixed it a couple years ago with Rasul Douglas, okay? We don't need anything beyond this year. Just fix it now. The wide receiver, yeah.
The names are there. That's the thing about that for me is that they have talent in that room, and there's a lot of it. There might not be a marquee number one guy, but there's enough on that roster, in that room, that there should be markedly more successful than they've been.
Tim, I would look for a receiver that, and this would be the part, would you swallow some pride? And again, this is in the Bills are healthy bubble, right? Because right now they're not. Okay, let's assume Kincaid comes back for the Panther game, right? And he'll be healthy the rest of the year. And let's assume that Jordan Palmer will come back and he'll be Josh Palmer, I'm sorry, Jordan Palmer, somebody else. Josh Palmer comes back and he'll be healthy for the rest of the year. Okay, then who are you taking off the field? It's Coleman. Who would be the guy that you could trade for now that would be an upgrade over Keon Coleman, assuming the other guys are healthy? Because let's say it's Olave.
Olave is the name.
Olave would be fantastic. If you had Olave, Kincaid, Shakir, Palmer, Cook.
That's a better room than it is right now.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. Right. You have Kincaid, who was off to his best start. You have Shakir doing Shakir things. Olave is a massive upgrade. So, Tim, I'm trying to give you hope.
You do it.
There's a path. And the path for the Buffalo Bills is this. Wide receiver upgrade, but not a little wimpy one, big one. Find another corner. Have the guts to switch out the safeties.
The safety thing seems like it should have already been done.
Yeah, and then the linebacker thing, like if we're just looking at film, like yeah, do you go with Shaq Thompson over Bernard? Like, maybe Bernard isn't healthy. I don't know. Well, that ankle injury, maybe he won't be healthy coming out of the break. We're going to figure all that out. All listening and probably chuckling right now.
It was so much greener 2 weeks ago here in Buffalo.
Jay Binkley, 96.5, the Fan in Kansas City, who I still don't know if they ever found my Bills Mafia was here. I'm going to ask him about that. It might be like years down the road. Like they'll be moving studios or whatever. Like, what is this? We'll be talking to Jay coming up next. But time for your calls as well on the other side of that. 866-4FAN, 866-4326 here on the Fan Rochester.
Employer. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Sabres looking for their first win of the season. Heck, it'd be nice if they got a lead. They haven't done that in the first 3 games. Ottawa, the opponent tonight. Despite all this, Zach Benson still remaining positive.
Yeah, no, I'm itching to get out there. I'm pretty fired up to get going. I think, the energy around the room, I think we're all excited to get going, fired up to kind of get off this losing skid and, get some good vibes going around this barn.
Sabres and Sens coverage will begin at 7 o'clock tonight here on The Fan. The Bills, of course, off this week. We will talk some football coming up next. Jane Bickley from 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City to join us. Game 3 of the ALCS tonight. Shane Bieber going for the Jays against George Kirby of Seattle. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com, where today get 2-for-1 passes to Stokey Farms. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
I just want to say for the record that our show has never thrown shade at the Chiefs. We've always kind of taken it in stride, right? But, as far as Chiefs hate or anything else like that, as we welcome in a guy who, we share differing viewpoints, but this is what you're supposed to do in this world. You're supposed to be friends with people that you don't share the same viewpoints with. Jay Binkley joining us here, Jay. I mean, the Chiefs at 3-3, it looks a little different, but if you think we're going to be the ones that are going to be throwing grave on the Kansas City Chiefs, it's not coming from us. Jay, how are you today?
Hey, good afternoon, fellas. How we doing in the old sports bar?
Well, let's see. It's been an interesting week, and
very.
All right, Jay, this isn't the first time the Bills have lost 2 games. They did it last year. They lost to Baltimore. They lost to Houston. Both those teams mmade the postseason. New England is improved.
Probably easily could have lost to Baltimore this year, too. Let's be serious. Derrick Henry doesn't fumble. They're 3-3 as well.
All right, well, if we want to play that game, if you get a toe in last year, then Baltimore wins week 1 in Kansas City.
No, they don't win anything. They just tie the game up. They were down 7 points.
Oh, they would have gone for 2.
Well, then the Chiefs might have stopped them. We don't know. But that wasn't going to win the game.
You're here to tell us that how far ahead are the Bills? You do know the Bills are 4-2 and the Chiefs are 3-3, right?
Well, I know the Bills have teams 500 or better. The Chiefs have had the hardest strength of schedule, and the Bills have had by far the easiest. I know that their 4 wins come against teams with a combined 3-21 record. So not exactly the 85 Bears.
Well, I look. I mean, that's a point that I can't, go against. It is what it is. This is who is on your schedule. But
I agree.
Didn't Kansas City for all those years fatten up on the AFC West, just like the Patriots fattened up? And look, the Dolphins are in the Bills division. Their coach should be fired. The Jets. Jay, I'm wondering if the Jets legitimately, if they don't beat Carolina this week, could they go 0-17? Maybe they get a couple along the way. Jet fans should be rooting against their own team to be getting a quarterback. So I'm not the Bills division is substandard, and you throw the Saints in, you got to play them at some point. I think the Falcons are. It's not the worst loss in the world. They're a playoff team. They've got some
number 1
talent.
defense.
Yeah.
Number 1 defense in the league. Going in that game, they're the number 1 defense in the league. I think people are kind of sleeping on that team. Very good team.
So you're here to say that the Chiefs at 3-3, that win over the Detroit Lions is impressive. That's that's a quality win. I'm not going to scoff at that. This is going to send the Chiefs on their way. They're not going to take the Raiders lightly here. This is actually because you do know, Jay, the last 3 times that the Chiefs have played the Raiders. Okay, a 1-point win. A loss on Christmas Day, and the Raiders just kind of shot themselves in the foot last year, and the Chiefs won.
Well, I do know this, though, Gene. Going into this season, in the last decade, the Chiefs are 17-3 against the Chargers, 17-3 against the Raiders, and 17-3 against the Broncos. I mean, that's what they've done in the last decade. And yeah, this division, they took advantage of some bad teams in this division. There's no question, but it's hard to make an argument the AFC West wasn't the best division of football last year. After all, it was the only division in the AFC to have 3 playoff teams, as the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Chiefs all made the postseason. So, albeit they did take advantage of it through other years, but last year winning 15 games, winning the division by 4 games, when you had 3 teams from that division go to the postseason. But you're right, you can only play the teams in front of you. That's why you're always careful, on wins and losses. I think, 53 out of 55 times we've seen a team not even in the playoffs make the playoffs the following year since the AFL-NFL merger. I mean, it's tough, and teams go up and down. And, I think the Eagles are a better team they displayed against the Giants. We forget they did this last year, too. They get destroyed by Tampa, about 4 weeks into the season when they lost 31-16. Everybody wanted Nick Sirianni fired. They turn it around. They win the Super Bowl. So, I don't think they're quite done either. But we've seen this before with the Chiefs. In 2021, this team was 2-3. Then they went 3-3, and then they went to 3-4. And then had they not beat the Giants the next week, it was a Harrison Butker field goal in the final minute, or the Chiefs would have been 3-5. That was the year that they did win the division and did go to the AFC title game. So early in the season is early for Buffalo, for Kansas City, for anybody. I mean, power rankings, the NFL, when you see these people put power rankings out, it is tough. It is tough to say who the best team in the NFL is right now.
Yeah, I mean, the game that we're all looking forward to is going to be November 2nd. That is going to be Buffalo hosting Kansas City, another go-around, and all those years having to go. And I understand it's just the way the cycle goes. There are all those years Buffalo going to Kansas City. Now for the regular season, you get the Chiefs coming here. What's also interesting is that 2 days after that is the NFL trade deadline. And we have a lot of conversation here. We've already, with the bye week particularly coming up. All right, the Bills, could they use a corner? Yes, of course they could. Could they use a wide receiver? Yes. Linebacker, sure. Like, the Bills have areas they need to shore up. If I'm looking at the Chiefs, Jay, here would be my fear, because I think there's one area on your team that right now, it'd be running back. Like, running back, Hunt is okay. I look at Pacheco, and I don't know if he's the same running back after that injury. He's out there. He's okay. I'm fearful of, like, a Breece Hall or Alvin Kamara. Running backs on expiring deals or rentals seem to be a lot easier. Is that kind of the chatter? What is the talk right now when it comes to the Chiefs and the trade deadline?
Yeah, I think it's shifted to that. Obviously, there's a need for pass rush and edge rush. Guys like Kayvon Thibodeau out there, but that's not going to happen. I doubt the Giants would end up doing that deal at all. But Jalen Phillips out of Miami, Bradley Chubb, these type of deals, I don't see it happen. Breece Hall is very interesting, and I know the Chiefs are interested in Breece Hall, and he's an unrestricted free agent after this year. But with Braylon Allen getting hurt, that changed things. So they don't have if they still had Braylon Allen healthy, things would be easy to trade Breece Hall. But the bottom line is the Jets aren't going anywhere, and we know that. We look at the record. They're going. Who knows how many games they end up losing this year. But Breece Hall, I do think he's going to be traded at some point, and they should trade him for something. Their season's not going anywhere. If they don't have any desire to re-sign him long term, they might as well do the deal, get a draft pick, and move on. Alvin Kamara is interesting because he's over 30 at this point, but he's still extremely productive. And you're right, I think that would be the best fit. You're talking a guy that can do 60 to 70 to even 80 catches a year, and then plus sprinkle in that running game as well, a real 3-down back. His problem is he just re-upped and has a big contract in New Orleans. Where New Orleans sit is they're going to be up against that cap, and they could literally save, almost $9 million by trading Alvin Kamara. The Chiefs obviously would take on some of that money, $3 to $5 million there, and I doubt the Chiefs would keep him long term after that. It would just be basically a rental for the rest of this year, but then they would have to pay at least $3 million to get out of that contract. But Breece Hall comes free and clear, so I think that would be a little bit more interesting. Alvin Kamara, I think, is a better fit. I think both of them are actually great fits, but Alvin Kamara obviously comes with some cash. Not that GMs are afraid of that, because if they think they win a ring, they'll go out and do it. But obviously, I think you nailed that one. I think these are the two areas, or the one area they desperately need to get better at.
Jay Binkley, 96.5, The Fan in Kansas City. I think the Bills, Jay, gosh, the extreme point of view is that this team's going to miss the playoffs. No, stop. I mean, they're going to be a playoff team at like what seeding? I mean, you have Josh Allen, you have talent. I'm not going to overreact to a second straight loss here. But I think that's what's working in Buffalo's favor, and also from Kansas City's favor is let's kind of take a look, turn the lens around here, and look the rest of this. Who's actually good in the AFC? Like,
exactly.
Yeah. I think the Colts are a fun story, but I watched enough of Daniel Jones. Are you mean to tell me like Daniel Jones to me feels like last year's version of Sam Darnold? That meaning, all right, it's working well now. Let's get a little bit more film. I don't think the Jaguars are that team. They may be a playoff team, but I don't know if they're ready to go chase a Super Bowl. There's Pittsburgh, and you could say, well, who have they played? Well, they lost to Seattle at home, but I can't be buying in Aaron Rodgers. So, again, I'll ask you the question, Jay. If it's not Kansas City, if it's not Buffalo, who is it then?
You know, that's a great question. As far as the AFC is concerned, I'll tell you one team, and they're not playing up to their record. And you may laugh at this, but Houston Texans. Have you looked and seen how solid this defense is? It's one of the best defenses in decades as far as points against. They're only giving up 12 points a game. Granted, it's early in the season, still a lot of season to be played. But that defense with DeMeco Ryans, I mean, yeah, C.J. Stroud and that offense has had its struggles. But, man, is that defense good? But, no, I'm not saying, they're one of those better teams in the AFC. Pittsburgh, with Mike Tomlin, you always have to worry about that. Mike Tomlin just always finds a way to win. He's got a quarterback that knows how to get the job done in Aaron Rodgers. You don't sleep on that team. Indianapolis had some quality wins. They beat Denver. They played the Rams extremely close. Some of their games haven't been that great. We'll find out a lot about them this week when the Chargers play the Colts. Because one of those teams, if the Chargers win, they have 5 wins now. If the Colts win, they say, hey, they go to the West Coast to L.A. and beat the Chargers. I think that's a really good game for kind of a litmus test in the AFC to find out really, who's a contender or a pretender. Jacksonville's a solid team, and they're going places. I mean, they clearly beat the Chiefs a couple of weeks ago, and I think Liam Cohen was actually the right fit for Trevor Lawrence. Are they ready to make, real damage this year? I don't think so. I still think it's Kansas City and Buffalo at the end. Vegas would agree on that. And, Buffalo, a couple losses here and there. Again, the Kansas City Chiefs, they were 2-3 back in 2021. I mean, things happen. The Eagles, they were getting hammered there at the beginning of the year, turn things around. So where teams sit right now, just wait. Just wait a couple of weeks when it's 5-2, 6-2, 7-2, or 8-3, something like that. And it always has a way to work itself out. But as long as Buffalo has Josh Allen, as long as Mahomes in Kansas City, they're going to be viable teams.
Yeah, Jay, I know it's like the Chargers, the Broncos. You did mention both those teams. Is it just in your mind a foregone conclusion that even though the Chiefs are a game behind both those teams, that the Chiefs will win the division?
Yeah, I do, because they've done it 9 straight times. And the one thing about the Chargers is they have a serious offensive line issue at this point without Slater for the year, and then Joe Alt with that ankle sprain that's got to be watched, from Ryan Hampton on the IR at this point. But the Chargers, they got the Chiefs in Brazil, but that was a home game for the Chargers. They still have to come to Arrowhead. Think about this, Gene. In December, when things are really, starting to settle in the National Football League, at home, the Chiefs have the Chargers. They've got Houston. Their only road games are at Tennessee and at the Raiders, which they've never lost in Las Vegas, including the postseason, never lost out there, and they have the Broncos at home. That is a very favorable schedule to the Chiefs, especially in division, getting all these divisional games at home at Arrowhead in December. It's a much different game, and they're getting it, back, at full strength minus injuries, knock on wood, if it happens to be some at that point. But the Chargers do still have to come back to Kansas City. I think Denver is better than the Chargers. I do. That defense, I know Bo Nix is not having a great year, but that defense and sacks, they have 30 sacks this season. The second most in the NFL is 20. I mean, they have a sack lead by 10 in the National Football League. A game against the Jets in London was weird. I mean, Justin Fields, minus 10 yards net passing? That was bad. I can't explain that when I clearly thought Denver would cover in that game. But these weird games do happen in London. So we'll see what happens. Because note to self: never bet on a game in London.
No, not at all. I wouldn't touch that at all. And as soon as I don't know if that was scoregami 13-11. But as soon as the score got to them, like it's a nice stopping point for this game. Jay Binkley from 96.5, The Fan in Kansas City is our guest as we're looking at football. Jay, I don't know if you've ever heard of this word. It's a German word. It's Schadenfreude. And what that means, basically translated, is taking pleasure in the demise of others. Does this apply to Chiefs fans? What has happened in Kansas? What has happened in Cincinnati with the Bengals?
No, I don't. You know what? I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, the Chiefs are taking enough arrows nationally as it is. People think they pay the refs, and now there's a survey from Texas El Paso, and the Chiefs benefited from 2015 to 23. This was printed out yesterday and was circulated among some national media types, and it's who knows the validity of that.
You have rabbit ears. You have rabbit ears, Jay. Like nobody is like you could find anybody on the internet, any hater.
No, it's all over social media, Gene. It's like in regular places. News stations are picking it up. You know, they did a survey, and the funny thing is, they said the Chiefs benefited. The NFL wanted the Chiefs to win starting in 2015. In 2015, Alex Smith was the quarterback. The team was 1-5 to start the season. And you want me to believe the 33rd biggest media market in the country, the NFL said, we want this team to win. Forget about Chicago, L.A., New York, all this. And then Mahomes' first year starting, 2018. And this is all part of the study. It's like there was no statistical data to back it up. 2018, the Chiefs had 137 penalties. The closest to them in the NFL was 125. So they lead the entire league in penalties with 12 more, and they had 1,152 penalty yards, the most in the NFL. And then, of course, a bad call went their way in the AFC title game against Tom Brady, and Tom Brady and the Patriots move on to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs do not. So these surveys that come out there are just laughable.
All right, Jay, how can I ask one question?
Yeah.
How many penalties were called on Kansas City Sunday night against the Lions?
All right, let me follow this up. No. Let's be fair here, Gene. Let's be fair. 0. But how many were called on the Chiefs in Jacksonville when Jacksonville played the Chiefs? Keep this in mind. Jacksonville went as the most penalized team in the NFL, right? The Chiefs had 13 penalties in that game. Jacksonville had 4. Okay? That is the most by any team any time this season was the Chiefs in Jacksonville with 13. Single game high in the NFL. They went into that game third in the NFL in penalties, all right? Third in the NFL in penalties. They win in that game in Jacksonville. 16 teams in the NFL and have more penalties or less penalties than the Kansas City Chiefs, and 18 teams have less penalty yards than the Kansas City Chiefs. So, yeah, that's true. Yeah, they clean things up. That was an emphasis for it. And Andy Reid's over on the sideline, and he hates this stuff. That's always been an emphasis for him to kind of clean things up. And I know Detroit's still whining about an actual play that wasn't a legal play. It's, was it the offices in New York, the Calder, whatever? It doesn't matter. They need to be talking about their Buccaneers game coming up and not still worried about the Chiefs game because they did run an illegal play and were penalized for it like they should have been.
You could say all these things, okay, but now I'm going to give you another fact that you say, Gene, you're right. Okay, from that game. Okay, again, refs will miss calls. Okay, it's a fast game. It's a violent game, but we have systems in place right now. We do, and one of the kind of gray areas I don't think we talk enough about is, hey, like when something goes upstairs, you get the automated review, or should something be thrown? Dan Campbell should have thrown a challenge flag on this. And look, but when you have the NBC rules analyst, Terry McCauley, quote, it looks like he does get control prior to the ball touching the ground, and he never loses it. Jay, that is not a catch by Travis Kelce. Can you understand why people...
You know what? I'm not going to disagree with you there. But the thing is, and you watch these announcers, if the penalty... the Chiefs don't get a penalty. It's, the Chiefs get away with one there. But you watch it and listen to the bias, because then the announcers will say if the penalty happens on the other team or should have been on the other team, they'll say, well, that's human error. But if it's the Chiefs, they got away with another penalty. But, yeah, that game, listen, it's got its things. And listen, I don't care what game you're watching in the NFL. You remember when Sam Darnold's head was almost ripped off last year when the Rams played the Vikings, and there was no call on it? I mean, that was one of the most horrible calls ever in the NFL. They happen each and every week. The officiating in this league is terrible. Every single person needs to be a full-time official. I love the first down metrics now, so it's so fast. But let's not pretend that the officiating has ever been good. But, yeah, I mean, people are talking about this, but they're not talking about the Chiefs having a league-high 13 penalties the week before. I mean, these are the facts that get misconstrued. I mean, honestly, if we're going to be honest, Josh Allen in the hierarchy of quarterbacks is number one in the NFL for penalties that benefit him. So Josh Allen sits by himself at the top with penalties that benefit him.
According to who? Jay Binkley stats? What are you sourcing, Jay?
This is advanced NFL stats. Patrick Mahomes sits at 18th.
Jay.
Allen's one. Just saying, Gene.
All right. Like, I gotta ask though, like, do Chiefs fans, are you guys aware? Because whenever the Chiefs end up in prime time, and you brought up the announcer bias, can you just admit that Collinsworth is so biased for Mahomes every time the word Mahomes comes out? In fact, you'll be watching a game that has nothing to do with the Chiefs, and then all of a sudden Mahomes will come out of Collinsworth's mouth. You do understand that the bias works both ways, right?
I've never been a big fan of him, but the one thing too about announcers, they'll say things like Chris Sims, he's dogging the Chiefs, and all the Ravens are going to destroy him, and all of a sudden the Chiefs win. It's all the Ravens are too hurt. Well, why was Vegas favoring the Ravens in Kansas City? They went in with the injuries to Kansas City. They went into Kansas City with the number 32 defense in the NFL, so we can't always use that. Then everybody's throwing out how the Lions secondary was banged up. Well, that secondary didn't score 17 points on their offense because they didn't play on offense. So, yeah, I'm with you. Certain announcers do have the deals, but what I'm saying is all these national announcers will sit there and they'll trash, then they'll back that bus up because the Chiefs go out and have a good win, and they'll back that bus up, and all of a sudden they like him again. So it goes here, and it's going to happen to everybody. If there's another quarterback that goes out there and starts winning games, if Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or Joe Burrow ever went to 7 straight AFC title games, they'd get criticism. That's part of the game, and people are tired of it. You hear there's so many people saying, "Oh, I'm so sick of watching the Chiefs." Well, stop watching them. Because 2 of the top 3 NFL games on TV this season are Chiefs games. 4 of their now 5 of the top 11 games in the NFL are Kansas City Chiefs games. 93 of the top 100 TV programs in the country were NFL games. 15 of those were Chiefs games. They're on Thanksgiving. They're on Christmas. You don't want to watch them. Don't watch them.
Well,
watch them.
The ratings are based on where they're putting them, Jay. Like the last one I have for you on this. Can you just admit that I mean, you talk about the things you see online. Every time I see one of these AI-generated Patrick Mahomes dancing with an official, Patrick Mahomes kissing an official, come on, you can't laugh at that stuff, Jay?
Oh, of course, man. Of course, you know the game. You know it's coming. You know exactly that it's coming. You knew it'd come at some point. But you start winning games, and here come the officials talk and everything else. I mean, you're used to it. You're used to hearing it, but it's going to come everywhere. I mean, this is the way Tom Brady had to deal with things when he was winning in New England, and then things calmed down. But if you're winning, people get sick of it, and I get it, man. Well, when a team has been good, you want to see them lose, and there's a lot of people out there that want to see the Chiefs lose, and they're not buying in. They're buying into every myth about this football team. They're buying into Andy Reid and his coaching ability, even though he sits number 2 all time in postseason wins. They're doubting that. They doubt Patrick Mahomes, who sits with 17 playoff wins, number 2 all time, only to Tom Brady. And they'll say, well, he can't play on the road. Gene, he's played 2 more games on the road than at home. He's thrown for 1,400 more yards on the road. That's 700 yards more per game. He's got a higher completion percentage. He's better on the road. But people still say, what's he going to do when he's not playing at Arrowhead Stadium? Well, we saw that. He goes on the road in Buffalo, goes on the road in Baltimore, and goes to the Super Bowl and wins it.
Can we go back to the myth?
All the myths.
All right, because we've established that we're not going to agree on the officiating. You say it's a myth, I say it's real, and there's a study out there. The commentating, yes, I think that there is some bias there because the Chiefs do draw numbers, but we could say that's a myth. What are these other myths you're talking about when it comes to Kansas City? There's like one myth I will present to you is that there's all this Chiefs hate. It's not Chiefs hate. It's just Chiefs Fatigue.
Gene, I don't know why you're saying that. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, all these TV stations. Look at Craig Carton and all the things he's saying about the Chiefs. Mark Schlereth on national TV, all the things he's saying. Chris Canny, who does ESPN2 in the mornings, ESPN Radio. They can't wait for the Chiefs to lose, and they constantly dog them. He's called the Chiefs all name and no game like a week ago. Before they beat the Lions, they were no name and all game. This is stuff coming from the national media. And the only reason I track this stuff, because I talk about this stuff, because people want to talk about it. Go to Chiefs Receipts on Twitter, and you will see everybody in the national media. You will see Lions, people picking the game last week. It's okay. It's all fun. I mean, I have fun with this stuff because I just enjoy football, and I think it's fun. So you get used to this. So I don't really care about this stuff. I just think it's funny, and I just want to watch the game, to be quite honest with you.
Jay, like this has always been fun having, the reaction coming in. The fan Rochester people.
Oh, I'm sure, man. I'm sure they're going nuts about it.
Follow up because, again, you and everybody there from Odyssey in Kansas City just so gracious coming out that this is sports after all.
Sports is the game, man. It's a game.
But the idea that I wasn't in the studios where you do your show and Cody and Gold and all your shows, Carrington. I was in like kind of the Chiefs pre and post game show, and I set you up, man. I put a little note in there that the Bills Mafia was in. Has anybody found this yet?
No, we haven't found. I think you cursed the Bills.
I did not curse the Bills.
I think these last couple games is a direct reflection of what you did, man.
Not at all.
They looked great. Now look what happened. I think that note actually cursed the Bills, Gene. I think you put a curse on the Buffalo Bills. I do. It's plain as day. It's more clear to me now that we're going to leave the note because what you did, it's like, man, are you seriously? Look what Gene did to the Bills here. It's never good to do that, Gene. And
I just like asking simple questions like the penalties question. Who has the better record right now? Jay,
let's go. Oh, you do. Bills do, obviously.
Great. Jay, awesome catching up with you.
Bills do, obviously. Gene, it's still a good team. McDermott needs some new glasses, though. What the hell is he thinking?
Well, he likes to think he's ready to go to the Met Gala. Does
he think he's Mike McDaniel or something? I mean, what was he doing, dude?
That's the side of Sean that we see very infrequently, that he loves clothes and he loves fashion, and that was kind of a fashion statement. And I would say don't wear those things again. Jay, how can people follow you and get more of your content?
96.5 The Fan we're on, and then we do it there. Not that any of your people would want the content there, Gene. It's slanted. It's slanted and biased.
Well, I mean, it'd be fun to kind of infiltrate and then, needle you a little bit.
No, I'll be honest about it, though. I'll be honest about it. 100%. I picked the Bucs to win in the NFC before the season. I still think, even with those injuries they have, I think Baker Mayfield right now would be my MVP, to be quite honest with you. I love what they're doing. But, yeah, I'll give you, fair and honest about the NFL, and I think Buffalo will be just fine. And, again, I think you'll look back at this, and all of a sudden they're 6-2 and 7-2, and all of a sudden people go back there and look at the Bills, one of the top teams in the NFL, because they are, in my opinion, and they'll get right back to where that they should be because they believe in themselves and think Josh Allen's a hell of a quarterback. But again, we're going to be talking again in 9 weeks, and we'll be talking about the Bills. I thought the Bills would be undefeated when they played the Chiefs this year, to be quite honest with you. So I'm a little bit surprised by that. I thought they would be undefeated at that point. But again, let's wait till 9 weeks in or 10 weeks in and watch them. They'll sit there and they'll be 9-2.
Well, Jay,
or 7-3, whatever.
Let's talk before then. I see a game that I cannot wait for on November 2nd. So let's talk leading up to that week. What do you say?
Yeah, let's have some fun. Let's have some fun with that game. Look forward to it. Know some people from Kansas City, someone that you even know, going out from Kansas City to Buffalo to enjoy the stadium for the final year, and look forward to getting out there. We talked about going to the falls yesterday and all sorts of fun stuff.
Are you coming out? What am I hearing here?
I'm not coming out. They are, so I was just kind of telling them what all cool things are in Buffalo.
All right, well,
and I mentioned you too.
Well, listen,
in Rochester.
You're like, look, flighting to Rochester, it's the same going into Buffalo. There's nothing direct from Kansas City, although they might be booking a Kansas City direct flight that weekend.
Well, I got to get out there though, because I love that area, and that beer out there is phenomenal, man.
That is true. Yes,
phenomenal.
Yes, Jay, thank you for the time, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right, guys.
All right,
take care.
Jay Binkley. We've got happy hour coming up next, which means time for your calls, which we haven't taken today. Give us a call. We're here. Danger's off today. He'll be back tomorrow. 866-4FAN, 866-4326. With Tim Schneider, my name is Gene Battaglia. This is The Fan Rochester.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger.
W239BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Got Sabres hockey tonight. Can the team win a game here? Can they have a lead in any of these games? They're 0-3 on the season so far. Our coverage will begin at 7 tonight. Ottawa is the opponent. Meanwhile, it is the bye week for the Buffalo Bills. Chris Brown today on One Bills Live on his wish.
I just want to see this team have more of a sense of urgency, energy, and juice at the beginning of games. I don't know what it is, but like the last 3 weeks, they've been really flat. At the start of games, you can't just play this game with a physical want to. There has to be an emotional content to your play as well.
Game 3 of the ALCS is tonight. Shane Bieber going for Toronto against George Kirby of Seattle. Travel day in the National League, where tomorrow night it's Game 3 in L.A. The Dodgers up 2-0 on Milwaukee. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Well, if we have a villain in the sports bar, I think we know who it is. Welcome back here in the sports bar. Gene Battaglia with you, Mike Danger. Where is he today? His daughter goes to Mercy. His daughter is a junior there and is on the golf team. And it's one of those, hey, let's take a parent out. So they're golfing at Greystone. They have a meal afterward. Sounds like a fun night out. I'm like, dude, go ahead. Because we got Tim Schneider in, buddy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, buddy. We go right to the bench here. Tim Schneider in. If you missed it, we had Jay Binkley. It's always fun, right? When we bring in him. He stirs it up, certainly. The reaction coming in. Jack writing in. Another classic interview with Gene and Binkley. Must hear radio. Jack, thank you very much. Greg writing in. This guy, eye roll like that. This also in. Chris writing in. Again, you could write in the comments section for anybody that is watching on YouTube or Twitch. Chris writing in. Jay was slightly less Jay today. Still Jay, but slightly less. You've taken enough. You're a connoisseur of Binkley as well. Where did he come in? Because I thought that was as obnoxious as he could come. Like trying to say that Josh Allen has the most favorable calls by statistic. I'm like, what statistic? Your statistic? What argument are we talking about here?
I thought it was pretty top notch, just in the sense that he knows he comes in, he knows exactly what he's going to do, how he's going to do it, and he knows that it's going to work. Like it's 100% effective, despite it's just outwardly trolling, and it's so perfect that it always works. I love it.
It works because they keep winning. Now, I can't say that they're defending champs. They're not. The defending champs of the AFC, but we haven't even gotten to that point here in the McDermott, Bean, Allen regime. Another comment. This is a different comment. This is Alex looking in. Sorry, I was across there. Alex saying to you, Tim, nice jersey. That is definitely a bootleg jersey, though.
I don't know if it is or not. I bought it from Walmart. I don't it is bootleg.
Wait
but
a second.
Know.
You're kidding me. Like Walmart might have something. I don't want to get Walmart lawyers.
I don't know how it works, but I bought it from a reputable source. It could
turn around and show. I didn't know that was actually possible that you could purchase something like that. It does. See if that's a real. Well, that might be last year's because it's kind of a little see-through. I'm wondering. A little bit.
It might just be the quality of the fabric. I don't know, but yeah. I like it, and it's nice. And it is the jersey of somebody who is a finalist at 2 positions for Gold Glove.
When's the last time you talked or texted with Ernie Clement?
It was over a year ago, probably last June. But he's putting it all together.
Really? I thought, didn't we have him on the show? Or are we going back 2 years now?
I think it was last June. It was about a year ago.
I thought we had him this past winter. My gosh.
We could have.
I'm totally
we're in a
losing
time warp. We've had him a couple times. But,
total time warp. Well, I love, and always it's like when you're dealing with athletes, it's like, hey, we have a plan, but they got to work out. They get called into a meeting. So it's not that simple to book somebody like that from the show. But Ernie, when he's come on, he's been great.
He's always accessible, and I'm sure that there's a lot of. He's been on the news a bunch this week because the Blue Jays are still kicking. He's accessible, and he's a pretty awesome guy.
We want Jays Toronto. Do we want? I mean, Milwaukee. We're kind of letting go right at this point. Like, it's funny because you and I were not the norm here. I will just say that, and that's fine. Everybody should have their individual taste when it comes to sports. Like, you may like soccer, you may love the NBA, you may love the WNBA. It's okay. And for people like, I don't like baseball, well, that's okay. But for those that do, just entertain. This would be the World Series. Tim, you and I will watch regardless.
Correct.
But I think baseball is going to dodge a bullet here by getting rid of the Brewers here quick and easy. Like, they need the Dodgers. And the Dodgers in Seattle would be a lot of fun. I don't know if the Dodgers and Jays would draw a bigger number because, yes, that's East Coast. But remember, that's a market that doesn't count here. So what do you think? Baseball's got to be rooting for Dodgers Seattle at this point?
Baseball probably prefers that, but I think that at least from the Toronto standpoint, they have a whole country. It's not this country, but they have a whole country backing them. That is huge for the sport of baseball in Canada.
It is different. And I don't know what would be the parallel here stateside where you could, as I did, go to Montreal. And you still see to this day, like you go into the souvenir shops, a lot of Expos merch. But then there's Jays merch there, too. Not any Maple Leaf stuff, not anything else from Toronto. No Raptors stuff, none of that. But there's Jays stuff wherever you go in Canada. They are the team. And how that country only has one team right now, I am really looking forward to Tuesday night. Why, Gene? Because that is when you're going to have the Netflix Who Killed the Expos documentary on.
I forgot that was the day, but yeah, I am also excited for that. But I don't know if baseball has a preference between Seattle and Toronto, but the travel is going to be wild if it's Toronto to LA back and forth. If that's a lengthy series, if that's what the result ends up being, that could be some pretty hectic travel.
Yeah, and the thing that baseball is going to luck out with, and Fox will, is that they don't have to worry about any postponements. We've got retractable roofs in 3 of the 4 venues, and then you've got Chavez Ravine, which when was the last time you had any rain?
I'm actually
out
curious.
with it?
I'm going to look it up when I have a second.
Last
delay in LA?
Or last rain out for the Dodgers, Tim. Would that be 20 years ago? Tim is looking this up thanks to the AI.
April 17, 2000.
Over 20 years. How about that?
1,471 consecutive games as of 2018. So whatever the math is on that, another 400.
I think we're safe on that. I think we're safe. Well, our lines are open, 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Appreciate everybody listening. We've got a round of shots coming up. We got Sabres.
What?
Yeah.
What are they?
Yeah, that's our programming tonight, Tim. Like, this is the difference between us and Buffalo. We can mock our programming here. Like, if they did that on the big station, they would be called into the principal's office. They would be, you can't do that. The organization will. I feel like if you are listening to the Sports Bar here in Rochester, you are in the Insiders Club. And by the way, like, there are some people that listen from Buffalo too. Yeah, welcome to the club here. Like, we talk a bunch of Bills. Look, the Bills are off. The Bills topic today, and I think it's this, is that okay, can everybody take a deep breath? I know we want to jump ahead to the story and say these were all the problems and everything is coming to fruition. Receiving cord, not good. No problem at corner 2. Problems we didn't see coming. My gosh, what the heck is going on with Terrell Bernard? I would just say, hey, there's ups and downs to every season, and the Bills will beat up on the Panthers, and then all of a sudden we'll be in the Chiefs week, and everything will be fine here in 3 weeks.
When it's awesome, and when it's bad, the wheels are falling off, and unfortunately right now and for the next 2 weeks, the Bills have to stomach the fact that the wheels fell off a little bit. Again, as Jay Binkley mentioned in that last segment, 9-2, 9-3, they're going to be fine. The AFC is a mess. The Bills are on top of that mess, and I still think that the Bills at the end of the day are a 13-win team, and maybe not the 1 seed, but a 1 or 2 seed. They're in a fine spot.
See,
it's just right now we're so frustrated.
That's the problem. That we're just looking for pathway. But I think as we explore with Jay, and we got to this in a roundabout way, who's really good in the AFC? If you want to say a 3-3 Chiefs team, ooh, sure. Our phone number, 866-4FAN. Let's talk some Bills. Craig and Arundecoy. What's up, Craig?
Yo, what's up, guys? I called in last week, and, it was frustrating the Patriots lost because of the opportunity with the division, the conference tiebreakers. Listen, the defense is banged up. It's not where I think anyone in the team wants to be. I think the hard thing is, as fans, taking a deep breath. The offense is good, okay? They've not had their best foot. They'll figure it out. Josh is Josh. They have a great offensive line. But what everyone has sat here and kind of said was like, yo, our wide receivers, if you can just get, a guy on the outside who can do that, and you hit it hard, this offense could be just more dynamic. Last year, Josh didn't turn over. The offensive line was great. They had, by all measures, statistically, like a year where there's going to be more variance this year, and teams have caught up. We'll be fine, but if you want that top seed, you want to push it over the edge and maybe help the defense, which unfortunately might just be more middling at best. You might want to find a guy, to help Joshy and that crew out, so that way we're not sitting here going, if only. And I think that's why everyone is kind of feeling it's like the warning lights came on last week. Now it's like, are we going through the same thing where we're going to finish 10 to 12 wins and we go, but we only have a narrow path to get this through. How about we widen that path a little bit, one way or the other? So I think they'll figure it out. But last year is the reset year. This was supposed to be a little bit better, and it's just feeling rough right now.
Yeah, I mean, and Craig, thanks for the call. All valid points, and I'll give you my plan here, what the Bills, if I would like to see them do here, okay, in terms of the trade deadline. Number one, swing big at wide receiver. I know corner is, and I'll get to that. I'll get to some of the other things, but you're going to need his house. You can't fix everything on the defense. You're just not going to be able to. And you're going to run into other offenses that are really good, and they're going to get theirs. So let's just kind of make sure, though, that the thing that could carry this team is actually the offense. And there are guys. I look at Chris Olave with the Saints. Shaheed is a guy also with the Saints, but I want something bigger. I want somebody who will take the spot of Keon Coleman. And are the Bills, is Brandon Beane in this fully, meaning I'm willing to say in an indirect way that maybe I made a mistake? That is going to be very telling, and I think we would all give him a pass. Sure, it will come up in any sports argument or every discussion about Beane, but can you get somebody? Because if you put Olave out there, or that quality of a wide receiver, along with Kincaid, along with a healthy Josh Palmer, and along with with Khalil Shakir, that's a pretty darn good core. And all of a sudden, if you just upgrade one position, the world looks a lot better on that side of the ball. Now, all right, there are problems on the defense. I'm not even going to touch the defensive line. Yes, you could use another pass rusher. That's number 3 on my list. Actually, number 4. Here's what I would do. And one thing I would not do is trade for a safety. If there was one presented to me, maybe. I would go in-house. And I thought I would never say this. Jordan Poyer can't be any worse. Give Jordan Hancock a try. Time to swap out the guys. I don't care if feelings are hurt or whatever. This is not the time for development. Okay, let's try something new. You're also going to need the draft for another corner. Tre'Davious White was not brought in to be corner 2. See if you can upgrade at that position, and then maybe Harrison at some point in December you can try to sprinkle him in. And, linebacker, I'm glad we talked to Bills experts, because the thing that we could pick out easy, oh my gosh, look at Cole Bishop. He can't tackle. He took a bad angle. Okay, what I would invite everybody to go look at it, that Robinson run. Maybe you don't want to look at it. I don't fault you if you don't. I've seen it enough times. Terrell Bernard gets completely out of position on that. He doesn't get to the second level. Robinson doesn't. If Bernard is doing his job. Terrell Bernard had a bad game. He's been having subpar games. Matt Perino, like of all the extensions the Bills doled out, that's the one? Your defensive captain? And Benford's extension doesn't look great either. So there are a lot of problems. Again, why does this feel different? It's because maybe it's a year older. Maybe it's the body language of Josh Allen. That was body language you rarely see out of Allen. Like AFC Championship loss, year number 1, Josh Allen, when the game is gone, looking distraught. That seemed different. So can everybody come back and be recharged? This is a Carolina team. Yes, they're better. Yes, they have Dowdle, blah, blah, blah. You should win. So again, my quick point, Tim, I don't know if you would change the order of that whatsoever.
I think the order might be interchangeable, but all of those things need to be addressed if this team is going to succeed at the level that it aspires to. Josh Allen is always going to put this team in contention to win, even if he's subpar, which he hasn't been great this year, and it's still been mostly good enough. Are there things that we want to be better? Of course, always. But the team right now, they're 4-2, and it feels like the wheels have completely fallen off, and if they somehow lose to this Panthers team in 2 weeks, it's a 4-3 team that nobody has any confidence in.
Yeah, you're a Browns fan. You just kind of marvel, like, are these first world problems?
It is, yes.
I mean, we look through the lens of this is still, it's still a playoff team. We thought the division was going to be a cakewalk the second the Patriots came here and won, and you looked at the rest of their schedule like, uh-oh. Oh, by the way, Mike Vrabel going back to Tennessee. Gee, I wonder who's going to win that game. Actually, I think that's going to be closer than anything because teams that fire the head coach and go to the interim guy always kind of get a little bit of a bounce. So let's go Titans, right?
That would be huge for the Bills, just in the sense that it's a game that the Patriots aren't supposed to drop, and if they do, that is incredibly helpful. The Bills, Danger says it all the time. As a fan of the Bills, you just have to manage expectations. It's going to be okay. It just kind of stinks right now, and you get 10 days to stew about it.
Yeah, well, how's this different than any other fan base in this league? Everybody has a loss, multiple losses for money. Like who has one loss right now in the AFC? The Steelers
and the Colts, I think.
Right. Okay. Do we think either of those teams are worthy challengers?
No.
Steeler fans would tell you that. Now, some Colt fans I know, they're just like they're convinced that their team's always going to go to the Super Bowl. Okay, maybe that's just my world. Okay, that you're arguing with Colt fan, but I give the coach credit. I give the Colts are a fun story, but they have the that was cute. Pat him on the head, and then they get bounced in the first round.
That's kind of the vibe that could be, but they could actually be legit. Who knows? There's still more than half of the season to go. The teams that are always at the top aren't right now, but again, there's 10 more games for that to figure itself out, or maybe the Colts are legitimate. They do get double-digit wins, and they are a team that you have to contend with come December and January. The Bills are going to be there, though. That's a promise.
One of those games that I didn't think we'd be paying close attention to, but now all of a sudden we are. Colts at Chargers. Tim, have you seen what the Chargers are going to wear? I'm showing you my phone.
Those are heinous. I have seen those before. I forgot about them.
Oh, my God. Okay, usually the Chargers get high marks. You know, like, okay, the power blue. The navy, that really pops. This makes the team look like a highlighter. This is like the worst of the color rush. Who thinks this is a good idea?
Colonel Mustard on the 50-yard line with a football. Turn it off. Yuck.
The Jags did that in a color rush game years ago. Like they were wearing it wasn't gold.
The chrome or whatever it was.
It was like mustard and like not quite that, but it's still pretty bad. We've got shots coming up, so let's do that. We'll take a break and we will have more of your calls, more of your takes. Some of the stories we're chasing here in shots, where we'll get you set up for baseball tonight. We've got. Got another team that's struggling in hockey, and an interesting quote from college basketball. Hard to wrap my mind around, Tim, but yeah, exhibition games starting to happen. Basketball season is here. We'll talk a little hoop coming up next. 866-4FAN, 866-4326 here on The Fan Rochester.
update.
Sabres looking for their first win of the season. They're looking for their first lead of the season. They're 0-3. Ottawa is the opponent. Zach Benson, the Sabres, remaining positive.
Yeah, no, I'm itching to get out there. I'm pretty fired up to get going. I think the energy around the room. I think we're all excited to get going. Fired up to kind of get off this losing skid and get some good vibes going around this barn.
Sabres in Ottawa. Our coverage will begin at 7 o'clock tonight here on The Fan. Game 3 of the ALCS is tonight. Shane Bieber going for the Jays against George Kirby of the Mariners. Pretty close to a must-win for Toronto. They're down 2-0 in this series. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com, where today, some fall fun to Stokey Farms. 2-for-1 passes. Don't wait. Log on to GetMyPerks.com to claim these. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, The Fan, Rochester.
Listen to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. The Fan, Rochester.
Apparently, like, a problem here in our building is like resurfacing. Wasn't even aware of this. Welcome back. Danger is out today. He'll be back tomorrow. Terrible time, Timmy. Terrible take, Timmy. You have many different nicknames in our building, and you're going to be actually on short sleep tonight because you have to do the break room tomorrow.
Yeah, I got called up to the break room. Apparently, their studio is in rough shape, and it is cold in there. So
oh, my
it'll be
gosh.
fun.
So we went through this, if you are a listener to our show, where it was debate, like, do we call the city of Rochester on our own employer? Like, this building, granted, this building we're in, High Falls, I love this neighborhood, but new landlord and things weren't getting done, and we would come in, and there would be no heat. And this is around when the Bills were in the postseason, and, it's pretty difficult when the thermostat here was in the 50s. Like, what are we doing? So you mean to tell me now that Duffy, Tommy, and Kimmy potentially could be dealing with, granted, it's October 15th here, Tim. It's a little chilly in the morning. Maybe you want the heat in, but I think it's noticeable when you get up and, oh, wait a second, the heat isn't on. It's a little cold. They're not getting heat in their studio.
I'm going to have to bring a blanket to work tomorrow, which I had to do last Amerks season. But I guess I'll just stay in bed and work from the comfort of a blanket. That should be a fun day, though, tomorrow.
Yeah,
Looking forward to it.
Oh, boy. That'll be fun. Shots in the sports bar, some of the stories we haven't gotten to. And you're welcome to join us on the other side at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. The LA Dodgers are certainly motivated to wrap this up quickly as they head back home 2-0 in the NLCS against Milwaukee. If for no other reason, Tim, they don't have to deal with the haunted motel. Are you familiar with the story in Milwaukee?
I am not.
Visiting teams in Milwaukee quite often stay at the Pfister Hotel. The Pfister Hotel, big old grand hotel, built in 1893. Teoscar Hernandez, outfielder for the Dodgers, switched hotels this past week. Not because he was scared, but because his wife swore there was another presence in their room. It was back in 2016 that then Angels first baseman G-Man Choi, remember G-Man Choi?
I do.
Yeah, G-Man Choi claimed he saw a ghost in the hotel.
Well,
I mean, if you saw a ghost, would you actually tell people about it, or would you be like, I'm going crazy here?
Sam Darnold did it. It did not go well for him.
Okay,
So-
that's a different ghost.
Yeah, no, if I saw a ghost, I think I'm, well, one, losing my mind. Two, scared. I think if I saw a ghost or something that I'm not a huge believer into that kind of spooky stuff. It is spooky season, but if I actually were to feel like I saw something like that, I would freak out because I don't buy into it. So if I did see something, I would lose control.
I guess that maybe that's the thing, because if you're a skeptic, then I'm a super skeptic. I'm not going to name names, but I just want you to know my philosophy on life is that, no, like, a Ouija board isn't real and the medium isn't real. There was somebody going around town a few years ago, and I don't know if she's still doing it or not, but she would, pack these banquet rooms and be like, I'm a medium. I see a man by a red fence. That's my grandpa. Like, honestly, I think they're mentalists. Like, a lot of it's all hooey to me.
I'm right there with you. There's some sanctity in believing in that sort of stuff. Like sometimes you need a sign or something you need to hold on to. That's fine. But if you put your life into those decisions, good luck to you.
Right, like the person that oh my gosh, I got my palm read. Whatever it is.
Ouija boards are fun.
They're not real, Tim.
I know, that's what makes them fun.
Yeah.
You get a bunch of people holding on to the board, and then you control it, and it makes it interesting and induces panic.
Sorry, Red Sox fans. Alex Bregman has opted out, but really, are you surprised? He was a late signing in 2024, and his agent is, after all, Scott Boras. Boras claims there's greater interest this time around, and the market is more full. We'll see. John Heyman reporting that it's the Tigers, Jays, Mariners, and Royals. They're all interested here. Bregman did miss 7 weeks with a quad injury, so his number's not that great, Tim. He batted .273 with 18 homers, did have the one nice hit in the ninth against the Yankees, although ultimately they didn't beat the Yankees, so there's that.
They never needed him. Boston will be better off without him, and the guys that are coming up, the prospects or the young guys that probably deserve that spot in the first place, they'll be better off with, assuming that they stay healthy. So Boston is better off. Bregman's going to get paid somewhere, somehow, and he'll be fine too.
He feels like a Yankee to me.
That would
it felt like that was going to be like that would have been put him at third.
McMahon is really good defensively, though. Bregman's a better player. Don't get me wrong.
No question.
If McMahon isn't the answer, Bregman certainly could be.
Yeah, and I don't know what you do with Jazz Chisholm, but that's a Yankee conversation.
Right.
So one of the things that can be frustrating for college football fans, like if you're one that, okay, when's the game in 2 weeks? We've got plans. Oh, like college football flexes everything practically, right? Like you don't know the times for half these games. You not only the times, you just don't know where to see the game sometimes. Like what network is this on? I bring this up because the original plan, Tim, was to have North Carolina, Virginia on ESPN at noon on October 25th. They flexed that out.
Good.
They flexed it out for Syracuse against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is number 12, but I don't know. Like, Syracuse, Georgia Tech are tuning in for the train wreck that is North Carolina football.
I would always vote train wreck.
Me too.
But if I want to watch a competitive football game, moving that is certainly the answer. I love me some chaos. I can watch Bill Belichick melt down for 3 hours 6 times a day. But the general public would probably watch Syracuse and Georgia Tech.
So that word schadenfreude, like taking pleasure in the demise of others.
Yeah, I'm a Browns fan.
Well, no, but honestly, I don't take pleasure in the demise, but I'm taking pleasure in all the chaos at North Carolina. That this guy, as one Boston radio host called him, the horny old man in Boston, that came from Boston, now is in North Carolina, Belichick. All this is happening to him. Just the arrogance. They just show up and all of a sudden be a 10-win program. I don't know. By the way, Friday night this week, Carolina is playing at Cal. That's a late game, which if you want to watch, you can. 2 weeks from now, a little over 2 weeks, on Halloween, it's the Carolina at Cuse game. We were having this debate. Does Belichick make it to Syracuse? I think he does, Tim. I don't think that he'll be fired before then.
I think he'll get through the year, but I do think he's one and done. I think that it'll be kind of similar to how he left the Patriots. Like, he's done. Everybody knows he's done. Goodbye. But also, he's such a legend or whatever that he's going to be given the grace to bow out rather than get canned 8 games into his tenure.
Thank goodness the New York Rangers won opening night in Buffalo because it hasn't gone well for them since. New York shut out at home by Edmonton Tuesday night. That's 3 home games for the Rangers, and they've all been shutout losses. They're the first team since the 1928 Pittsburgh Pirates to be shut out at home through 180 minutes. Yes, I said that correctly. Who knew that the NHL team in Pittsburgh way back in the 1920s was actually called the Pirates? You learned something today. The Rangers tomorrow night playing in Toronto. They're back home Monday against Minnesota. Fun fact. But to me, and I would point to the St. Louis Blues, the year they won the Cup. Did you know, Tim, like at New Year's, they had the worst record in the NHL?
So I did not.
It's such a long season. The year that the Amherst last won the Cup with John Tortorella, they had the worst record in the league at New Year's. So I know a lot of people that would say, hey, I pay attention to hockey when when football ends. And I think part of that is just the season's just too long in the sport.
We were talking coaching changes earlier in the show in sports. Hockey, they do it in season, they do it frequently, and it almost always works. So I don't know if there's something to be looked at there, but the way that hockey does their coaching manipulation, it could be viewed at in football and in baseball, possibly.
Well, if you're thinking, all right, and I would say this, if the Sabres lose tonight, then you get Florida coming in. The chatter might already be happening, but I'm going to say it's going to get very loud at 0-5. And you don't want this to be another lost season. And if you're thinking, oh my gosh, let's see who's available that could come on in. Granted, I love the guy. I consider him a friend. I don't know if Seth Appert's rescuing this team. I don't know if anybody could rescue the Sabre team.
I think if they were to make a change at head coach, it would be wholesale, everybody gone, and it would just be kind of waving the white flag.
Kekalainen stays, and now you get to all right, you get a
he
year
gets to build
yeah.
his roster. He was brought in as an advisor, but we all know that he's probably the heir to Kevin Adams' job, which he should have lost many moons ago.
Which is really weird that you hire the GM in waiting while the current GM. Yeah,
the writing's on the wall.
Yeah, that's not dysfunctional at all. It's totally normal.
17 years feels like.
Tongue in cheek. Do they not question things in the South, Tim?
No.
Okay. So I listened to some of these SEC press conferences, and there's no pushback, not much follow-up. I mean, it's just kind of coaches they get away with a lot. And take, for example, this, and this isn't from football, but this is from basketball. So you may have forgotten that John Calipari is at Arkansas, right? As we're getting ready and teams are, having practices and the season's coming up, John Calipari says that he is truly invested in his players. Okay. But here's the quote. If I become transactional, I'm going to pay you to do this and then this and that, then I don't want to do this anymore. I don't need to. Tim, this is so rich. John Calipari, practically the inventor of the one and done, which by definition is transactional, but he says he's not transactional. What the heck are you talking? And yet nobody's like, really? What are you talking about?
Well, now that it's allowed, he wants nothing to do with it. He's had flare-ups at every school he's been at, and all the way back to UMass 30 years ago.
This is where you and I can bond. The hate, the A10 hate for John Calipari.
John Calipari is a snake, and now that everybody's allowed to be a snake, then he doesn't want anything to do with it. It's no longer fun for him if he's not the bad guy. He just has to be a good coach. That's tough to do.
But you can't have it both ways, John. You were doing this first, but now everybody gets to do it, but with rules where you got to pay these kids, and you had to figure out ways to pay the kids, allegedly. Now you're saying it's not transactional. Oh, my God.
The game is changing. He changed the game, and now he wants nothing to do with
it. I understand that, if you're the beat guy listening to this and you challenge him on this, but, you're in Little Rock radio right now. Do they have a sports talk show?
I'm sure they do.
They should. They
got D1 programs.
They're not or are they just coach is right. That's absolutely correct. Absolutely. He's John is our guy. Don't they push back?
Not on John. Well, I bet they do, but it depends on who. When you've got that much clout and you've been around and you have the pull, he can probably get guys fired. It happened kind of here. Yeah. So when you have that kind of pull or that kind of connections, I guess it might be wise to play it safe.
Last call is for you coming up. Our phone number, 866-4FAN, 866-4326. We'll set you up for the show tomorrow, and the joy of last call is, you don't do much screening. You get to come through and pick the topic here. Give us a call here on the Fan Rochester.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Yeah, anybody that wants to defend the Kansas City Chiefs after what you saw on Sunday night, no penalties. The NBC rules analyst, well, that looks like a good catch to me. Then you should be fired. How is that a good catch when you see the ball right on the ground?
I love how the officiating experts are always just saying whatever it needs to be said for the referees to rationalize the call.
That's Steratore. Gene Steratore is the worst. Gene Steratore, I would say more than 9 times out of 10, will just back up whatever the refs would say.
Good old boys club.
I mean, it's refreshing when you hear somebody like, yeah, no, that's not. But that's why the system is kind of flawed, Tim, because you have former colleagues and you get to question the former colleagues on the air. Or do you want to take the path of least resistance and just hammer the check and say, oh, I don't know, looks good to me? Like, you or I could be doing that job. Do you really
My eyeballs work, yeah. Like, this is what I saw. This is what the rule is. Why are you lying to us? We see what you see.
Yeah.
Why are we making it up to defend the call on the field that is going to be overturned? Anyway, why are we actively choosing to be wrong?
Yeah, can you just hire somebody with great credentials, like a lawyer or former school president, somebody that you know that loves football, but they were never an official? We all know the rules. Like, every once in a while you get a weird kind of thing, like where you got to look up the rule book, but I think the NFL pretty much makes it simple. You can debate the process of a catch, but a few years into this now, I think we all know what the process of the catch is. But that conversation with Jay Binkley, that was back in the 4 o'clock hour. You can listen to the Odyssey app. Download it today if you haven't done so already. If you want to, you can listen to Jay's show tonight on The Fan in Kansas City. Just call in, prank him.
Ask why Patrick Mahomes gets all the calls instead of Josh Allen, and see what kind of...
That was the one, like, according to statistics, Josh Allen. What statistics? Who?
The ones I'm reciting right now that I'm coming up, flying off the cuff with.
This is the day and age we live in. I'm sourcing nothing here. Tomorrow on the show, something familiar and something new. Familiar. Andy Barron's a deep shot. We will talk fantasy football. We've got a game tomorrow night. Steelers and Bengals. We'll also talk to a New York Times writer who's got a book out, Ken Belson. Every day is Sunday. It's about NFL owners.
Sign me up.
Oh, yeah.
I can read.
I'm finishing this book tonight, Tim. I'm like, there are some books where you got to make it a grind. No, this one I couldn't put down. So we'll talk to Ken tomorrow. Coming up tonight, we have Buffalo Sabres hockey. Please listen to Sabres hockey. You'll find it a rewarding experience. Again, if you miss any of the show, you can download the Odyssey app and go back and listen to. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate you, buddy.
Always a pleasure.
Danger will be back tomorrow. The JR Sport Brief coming your way next. My name is Gene Battaglia, and this is The Fan, Rochester.
You're listening to The Sports Bar with Danger.